Shortfall doesn't even get the touch to ground before Hurek puts a bullet right between the eyes. Now he's got a little bit of more of freedom to work. Perhaps time to start styling on the Gladiators now as Hurek's not under any immediate pressure and his main assailant Remix has got other fish to fry.
Just opens up so much space for Prophet. You see everybody just kind of has to huddle up, just hide behind that pillar. It'll be the Spitfire taking the first point here, and with Widow being played so much this weekend, I think, personally, one of my favorite DPS combos is that Tracer Widowmaker play. Just such high skill gaps to those two heroes.
This is Hugapin as well, so he picks up both the Sombra and the Lucio in the early stages of that fight. You can see that Shaz is trying to pressure him down as much as possible, but he just blasts straight through them with that damage.
See how the Gladiators try and attack this here. They have the Widow of their own, but they lose Shaz right at the beginning here. So you lose your Zen. Big Goose now, the Lucio, he's going to get jumped by Prophet, and Gesture won't live for long. The Pulse Bomb comes in right in the face of Remix, and before any push could even get started, just Prophet Man just running through the Gladiators.
This is a bit more of that G Super Saiyan roster we saw at the tail end of Apex. Prophet just farmed 3 members of the Gladiators, including both of their supports. By the way, Shaz, who after getting smashed playing Sombra in the previous fight, hastily switches to Zenyatta and very, very quickly finds himself back in Spawn.
And Big Goose actually switches off of the Lucio. He goes over to Mercy, so when they dive onto Shaz on the Zenyatta, that Mercy can keep the heal on him, but I know not a lot you can do in terms of healing when they're coming at you like this. You can just heal for as long as you want. The damage they're putting down is just so insane right now. They push the Gladiators pretty much all the way back into their spawn.
There were 3 instances in which players from the Los Angeles Gladiators were just staggered in that previous engagement. Note here as well, this is a great example. So here's the map. So Prophet gets to stand up above them here, and he can sort of give a bit of details about who's out of position. He relays that information then to his front line, and then as a trio, they just dive in. And get pick after pick.
And you're so worried about Prophet, and then Gesture comes in as soon as Prophet gets out of the way. Then Prophet comes on back. Oh, by the way, you're getting sniped by Hurek from across the map. Result here, Prophet with another Pulse Bomb, looking very good here on Ilya.
So Shortfall's trying to play anti-dive with this McCree here as well. Have a flash ready to try and keep his backline and himself alive. But on the Pulse Bomb getting stuck for 3, that's huge. And the Los Angeles Gladiators get completely decimated, eviscerated, and dominated over on that main point. That's going to be a fight already over. And by the time the Los Angeles Gladiators realized what had happened, they were already too far committed. What a very brief affair. And Ilios sprayed with the remains. The Los Angeles Gladiators, and that's a bit more than we were hoping to see from the Spitfire earlier on.
Prophet dominated that last point, man. With his Pulse Bombs, able to get at least 1 or 2 every time he connected on one of the players of the Gladiators. There's really nothing the Gladiators could do all map long.
So this is something that people experience, even in, quick play, the stagger, right? It's so hard to manage sometimes. And again, the pressure being put on by the Spitfire was too good, but it's another chance to equalize the series, ladies and gentlemen. We'll find out if the Gladiators can get their shields up and turtle for it after the break.
Show your support. Official Overwatch League team merchandise is now available on the Blizzard Gear Store at gear.blizzard.com/OWL.
Well, Matt, the stage is still smouldering after that affair. The London Spitfire just sent the Gladiators into next Tuesday, and I think even by then they might not have realised what happened to them. A masterclass in dive and aggression and staggering out your opponents.
The Gladiators just got outmatched on that one. I mean, to be quite honest, the Spitfire were just so dominant. You saw, Gesture on the Winston, Prophet on the Tracer, how much trouble those two players can give you.
Okay, and look, it all started from one pick, right? It was
Hurek pick at the beginning on Surefour.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Surefour gets taken down. All of a sudden, your Widowmaker now has to play much more passively after getting picked off. You need to get into positions very hard. And then the snowball began. There was no point the Gladiators really had 6 players to make a fight of it. And that's the way the game plays.
Yeah, and on Ruins, you saw the Gladiators, their supports, they had to change so much. They never really built up like a great support ult where they had both at the same time and maybe they were able to go in. Like, I believe we saw Shaz at the beginning. He was running the Sombra. They had Big Goose run the Lucio. Then you saw the Big Goose stay on Lucio. Shaz then went to Zen. Then it forced Big Goose to switch over to Mercy. They could just never get anything going.
Let's have a look at the maps that we're going to be coming into as well, especially for this last map. This is why I'm so excited. There's a couple of reasons. First of all, it's Numbani, right? So we have that sort of that verticality. We have a map where dive is really good, which is obviously something that Korean teams have just made into an absolute art form. And there's no substitutions happening here as well. So it is going to be the same roster that we saw from the London Spitfire in the previous map, and the same for the Gladiators. Again, the dive is going to be sick to watch, especially if we do get stuff like we saw that Prophet obviously coming in, playing on that Tracer, smashing the supports of the Gladiators. Very, very hard for them to hang around. I see you there, fam.
Yeah, and for the Spitfire, I mean, maybe you just want to get this Busan roster, more experience on the main stage, right? They have it in Korea, first time coming here to the States, get them some more games. The first one they had, Junkertown, it's just a very odd game, right, with Bastion on the cart. You can't really get, like, a lot of great practice there. I mean, you do trying to get that Bastion off the cart moving forward. They definitely need to figure out what they're going to do the next time that comes around. But you want to get a good game in Numbani here in. Maybe they leave us more confidence, after winning the last few, close it out.
Right, so we're going to have the team set up in a moment, but of course this part of the map is quite interesting as well. Generally attacking teams that generally just have to roll the payload on through. There's not many opportunities for defenders to set up well. And moving into the last phase of the map, sometimes it can almost be beneficial for defenders to change their composition, go for something more controlling, even like a Zaya or a Reinhardt or something of that variety. I want to see the switches, especially, by the way, like, it's a shame we're not seeing the C9 Kongju roster because they were the sort of first team to switch to a more controlling composition for the last stage of this particular map. Something that people are like, why are you switching? Why are you giving up ultimate percentage, etc.? But they did it and it worked well. This defense from the London Spitfire is kind of classic, with the with the Mercy thrown in there. But you've got the Ana for the high ground. Safety's going to be there. Going to combine nicely with Hureg. Again, using the high ground to get a lot of damage done for very little reprisal.
I was going to say, this is the one map yesterday, at least on point A, when you have to unlock the payload, where we saw a lot of Ana play. She's able to heal at range, obviously. Her bio nades can do a ton of positives for your team, really hurt the other, denying a lot of healing. As it'll be the London Spitfire here on defense, the Los Angeles Gladiators on offense here. It'll be Surefour running the Pharah. Looks like they're going to run with it. Triple DPS here.
Yeah, so attacking Pharah on this map is a little bit situational. It doesn't always work. They're playing into a 76, but he's being Mercy healed, so this can't help. And there's Shaz going in. Shaz, by the way, on this Genji, that's super interesting. It's a triple DPS, and Shaz finds all the kills. Great opening by Remix there. Spreads early damage. And a player, I've never seen Shaz play Genji, by the way, ever.
I've only seen him play supports, so something interesting coming out here during the preseason. Shaz, he's going to be playing the Genji. We can take a look at this from his POV. The damage coming down from Remix and Surefour, and he just dashes on through players.
There is nothing there that indicates much of a degree of mechanical intensity. Dash, dash, dash. Every time Shaz was able to get himself...
I thought it was phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, he was able to get himself an elimination every time, so that's sick. But again, what a huge opening there from Remix. Gets the early damage down.
And he doesn't even play for the Dragon Blade, right? He immediately switches off to Zen. He's like 50% of the way there. He's feeling himself a little bit, not that much to play it in this stage of the map.
Oh, it's a bit more open as well. It can be tough for Genji to try and find those engages. The high ground is highly contested, and generally the defenders have a better access to it, so it's fair enough. But yeah, back to the Zenyatta for this stage, which I think is really good here. Surefour finds Prophet early on though, and that's going to be most of the spearhead for London Spitfire now being taken out of the picture. This might be resulting in a snowball effect for the Gladiators. They're getting more kills, they're gaining more advantage, they're staggering the Spitfire, they're gaining ultimate percentage, and all in all, they're giving themselves more power in their arsenal. Wu Yao does get desuited. He will be chased to a degree, but not entirely here.
Yeah, they get him weak. They don't want to kill him. Then he comes back in the Mac. Gonna leave him in baby diva for him, as it looks like the Spitfire backed out here. They're gonna give up point B as well.
They can't contest it without a diva. They need both tanks. This is excellent stuff from the Gladiators here. But Remix does have a pulse bomb delivered. That's the way you kind of probably wouldn't want it. Stuck straight to him, he couldn't get away. And now Wuya's gonna get rezzed up. So there is a player advantage here for the Spitfire.
Both teams with both support ults here, though. It'll be the attack visor that comes in from Hureg, and the Gladiators, they back all the way out. We saw them do this on Junkertown very well. Their disengages have been phenomenal, and now they're going to come back on the offensive.
Oh, that's going to hurt. Closer falls there to the Deadeye. The Transcendence Shield doesn't really care about that. He was getting healed enough at the same time, and now the Gunslinger is going to make his way forward. He's actually looking for targets, but he realizes that most of his teammates have dispatched the Spitfire. It was Shaz there to find Gesture, the final kill of that fight. And a payload rolls on. Crucially, pulse bomb there for Ratchet. There's a primal raid for Remix to stall or to create disruption, as the Spitfire are going to try and put something together to stop this payload. 5 minutes on the clock, Matt. This is blistering pace from the Gladiator.
Yeah, Gesture has his primal rage. Maybe he can get on the cart. He's going to dive in deep. He's getting a lot of pressure. He's going to be forced to pop primal. The Discord Orb on Gesture. They're going to be able to deal with him quick. Let's see how the Gladiators take advantage of that.
Pulse bomb for Ratchet here. Self-destruct does get put out. And that's not good. They lost most of their supports. If you drop a self-destruct close to that underpass, it's actually very, very hard to break line of sight, especially if you're a Zenyatta with limited mobility. You can't get away from that.
Yeah, the Zen was just kind of trapped in that awkward area where he's not able to get back towards that mega health pack and can't get around the corner underneath the bridge. Chaz and Big Goose both fall there. That is a huge self-destruct from Huya.
Now the Spitfire are going to play far more far forward than usual. But so watch where he puts this one, right? He realizes where the setup of the Gladiators is. Now you need to get out and around the corner. That is almost perfect placement. To be fair, I think Big Goose was the one that dropped there. He maybe should have been able to get away from that one, but it was hard to predict the trajectory of the bomb when it came in.
It's a few ults on the board here for the Gladiators. They're going to have the Transcendence. Big Goose going to get close towards a Valkyrie. It'll be led by the self-destruct, though. It's 2 kills, 1 from Shaz on a Prophet. Surefour going to take out Huyal, as Bishu is going to eliminate Gesture. So Hureg does have that Deadeye. You pop it here, maybe try and slow the payload down a little bit, but it's going to be Remix using the Primal Rage, knocking him back into the spawn.
Yep, Surefour getting rezzed up as well, so they're going to keep the momentum going. The numbers are going to be there. Shaz comes forward. Another mistake there. There was an opportunity for a little bit of stall from the London Spitfire with the Gladiators. That's very impressive stuff from them to get the map done in such a quick time. It all started from that dive, inexorable. In fact, the Spitfire didn't even have an opportunity to respond. Remix jumps in up on that high ground. Shaz dashing in. 3 DPS players on the side of Gladiators to open up. And then Shaz, being the flexible player that he was, heads over to a support role and continues to make his presence felt from the back line.
And we didn't see it on Ilios from the Gladiators, but you saw there some phenomenal teamwork. When the attack visor comes in from Hureg, and they're starting to push on in right after the Gladiators take point B, and the cart's kind of going through that underpass. It's a beautiful disengage from the Gladiators. As soon as that attack visor was wearing off, they used their Transcendence, they pushed on through, they got the picks they needed. Now that fight doesn't really lead them all the way to the end, but it gets that payload through that underpass where we see a lot of teams get stuck.
Against a team who's proficient at diving, the first point of Numbani is very hard to hold. We just saw a new flavor, a new color from the Los Angeles Gladiators in Shaz going towards that 3rd DPS role. That was fun, and it worked. But for the Spitfire now, again, knowing what they're up against and knowing how quickly the Gladiators were able to finish the map in general, they now need to be incredibly expedient on their attack as well. They probably need a Genji, they need a lot of high ground access, and they need some fire in the belly and a bit of aggression towards that high ground to make sure they can clean the Gladiators off in the same way that was done to them.
And I think this is an opportunity for the Gladiators to try something different on defense. You see Shaz currently on the Sombra. Big Goose on the Lucio. We'll see if this is the hero composition they go with. And playing a little bit forward right now. I'm interested to see what they try and do. Do they try and get them coming out of the spawns? It's risky, but
so what they're
going to try and do, this is a good position to actually allow you to get up around the enemy team. You wait for the enemy team to advance towards the 2nd bus, and then you go through that doorway and just jump on their back line. Hopefully the Lucio's there to help you get out and give you a bit of healing and pinch. Spitfire have no idea what's going on. They don't know who's behind him. The Gladiators just appear. It's a blaze of glory, but I like finding the damage. Hureg gets taken down. Yes, it's worked. Hagapun also falls. Prophet frantically trying to throw some shurikens in any which direction. But the Gladiators, they managed to pull one over on the Spitfire, and even getting out relatively scot-free. Wuya and Gesture now just trying to stay alive. Desperate healing coming out from closer to keep that Diva alive.
All right, so Prophet's going to take out Bishu, so now they're going to start to get some more players in the fight here, the Spitfire. They may be able to catch the Gladiators here as Bishu's coming off the spawn.
Danger zone for Prophet, he just walks straight in. It's a shocking reception that Remix just gave him. You can't block the Tesla gun. Perhaps he wasn't expecting the Winston to be around the corner, but the element of surprise again paying dividends for the Gladiators. Now Jester though trying to come forward here. He's trying to get rid of Remix, who does go down on EMP used on most of the Spitfire roster though. The Gladiators need to capitalize now, and they've done so. Beautiful stuff from Shore4. Gets himself a quick brace of kills, but the Spitfire are recovering. They're getting numbers back in the fight. Jester and Huggerpin are back. They still have high ground control. Shore4's going to try and head for the hills, but he's just got a great boot from Big Goose. Fantastic peel for the DPS, who they desperately need in this fight.
Shore4 did use his tack visor there, was not able to get much for it. It'll be a self-destruct that comes in from Huyal taking out Shore4. It's going to force iRemix to pop that Primal Rage, trying to stay on the point here for the Gladiators. Does not look good though. It's going to be the first tick there going in favor of the Spitfire. It's going to be Prophet taking another kill, earning himself the Dragon Blade. It looks like the Gladiators will back up. They'll give point A to the Spitfire.
There's definitely a sense that the Spitfire kind of thrived in that chaotic environment over on that first point. Also worth noting that Closer was able to use the Valkyrie, get 2 quick reses up for the Spitfire, which was something that was not available to the Gladiators in that instance. They weren't running the Mercy if I'm not mistaken. So again, the numbers advantage makes such a big difference. First picks in fights often decide them, and the fact that Spitfire can negate early picks is a huge boon to them on the attacking side.
The Gesture Pub and Primal Rage, they're putting a lot of pressure here on the Gladiators. Prophet just kind of poking here, just trying to figure out when he could use this Dragon Blade. Shore4 will take out Gesture, so he'll move back to the payload here for the Spitfire. It's going to be a self-destruct plus a sound barrier here that comes in from the Gladiators. Bishu's able to get one, but did you really need the sound barrier there? You know, you throw that self-destruct in over the top, you're pushing the other team back. You would have liked that support ult here with a Dragon Blade come through, but a nice move there from Prophet. Chasing down players, not able to get much of anything.
He just got completely trolled by Big Goose there. Again, as Genji, if you use your free dash after pulling out the Dragon Blade and get moved back, you actually have no way of closing the gap until that cooldown is finished. However, the Spitfire pure weight of numbers here has been enough to overwhelm the Gladiators, but very good stuff from Los Angeles. They've managed to buy a lot of time on this stage of the map. Now the reses are coming through because the Spitfire know that they need to be very quick about this. They require the expediency. They don't have time to wait for reinforcements and spawn in. They need to get the second checkpoint and then need it now.
And you could contest this here for the Gladiators. You do have Primal Rage. Shaz does have the Transcendence. I think the Spitfire fully expect the push to come through, and Remix gets here at the final seconds.
Hureg's in a good position for a tactical visor, but Shore4's Deadeye is actually going to keep his head down for the time being. Transcendence there for Shaz. That's going to time out just as Hureg gets his tactical visor in. A lot of damage coming through. Bishu gets desuited there, but that's all Hureg has found for the time being. Now as well, a Primal Rage Winston just jumped back past, and that was iRemix trying to interrupt him somewhat, but it's just the one kill for the Gladiators in that fight, despite an extensive investment of ultimates, and the checkpoint comes up as the Gladiators are forced back, and now the Spitfire want to chase to try and snag her. They're losing a couple players there. Losing Hureg there might make this a little bit harder.
Prophet takes out Shaz there towards the end, so we'll have to wait a little bit longer, get that Zen back in the mix. Now you see Big Goose switch over towards that Mercy. We can take a look.
Oh, he reflected
the pulse bomb onto the car. I actually didn't catch that when we were watching from the third person POV. Here's the first person of the Dragon Blade. It's 2 kills, reflected pulse bomb. No, at that moment, I was actually watching it, and it looked like the Gladiators were moving off the cart, right? It's actually a pretty fortunate why, right? If they would have jumped on, it would have died to their own reflected pulse bomb.
They zoned themselves off of that one, Matt. It's pretty unfortunate. Now we're going to see Huggerpin in a position to try to get as much damage as he can, playing separate from his team, but playing quite far forward. That's going to hurt in the morning, though. It's a 4-man self-destruct from Wuyal. The Gladiators had nowhere to run or to hide to try and take cover from the nuclear fallout that was forthcoming. That's really going to make it hard for them to defend here.
Oh yeah, this is not looking good for the Gladiators. The side of the Spitfire, they have the Valkyrie, they have the Transcendence here. It'll be Bishu getting onto the cart. There comes the Transcendence in from the Spitfire.
Now it's going to be 1 by 1. Remix is the second to trickle out after Bishu gets desuited. This is going to force the use of the Transcendence from Shaz. This could actually be something here. Destiny goes down, quickly raised up, but Buyong gets desuited, so the hit scan pressure from Shore4 is going to be more impactful in the next few seconds. Asher quickly having to get back, does get a Harmony Orb from Shaz, and then he's going to jump back into the fight. Gesture falling again after getting res. It's another res, the second time that Winston's been brought back from the dead in this particular fight. Huggerpin doesn't have his Transcendence anymore. It was used earlier on, but here's Prophet with a Dragon Blade. Bishu gets desuited straight into the keen edge of that Dragon Blade, and now it's a simple matter of chasing Shore4 down. Bishu's brought back. There's a lot of value in getting a Diva on her feet. I don't know if Bishu was able to resuit though. It looks like he has. He's back on the payload, and the stall is very good. There's time being bought here by the the Gladiators, and the Spitfire are getting frustrated. They need to push to the end of the map. They need to get this done now, but they have less of a time bank than the Gladiators as it is. And Shawfall gets back there, drops a biotic field down for some extra staying power, but that will be it. 2 minutes and 19 seconds for the Spitfire. They're behind by about 1 minute and 10 seconds.
Still, a lot of time from both teams, right? It was just a really, offensive strong map from both sides. So you saw Prophet's Genji really go off there on the offensive side for the Spitfire. It'll be interesting to see here, Mitch, as we go, into the overtime phase of this game, whether we see either team to switch up their original comps.
I did not find Prophet's Genji very compelling on that first point take. I mean, in all fairness, the first attack, we saw the sneaky ambush that was put together by the Gladiators, which was a lot of fun. It did ultimately result in the Gladiators being a man down without a mercy. So it's like, if you want to play that kind of style, it's fine to do that.
It's really scrappy.
Against the mercy comp, like, it's very, very hard to actually make that damage stick properly. This is that self-destruct here. Yeah, there's nowhere to go. 4 different angles people were felled from.
Just perfect positioning on that self-destruct. That's the second time. Remember the last one where he got both supports with the self-destruct? That time he ends up getting 4 players with it. Be the Gladiators on defense here to kick things off, and you already see, Big Goose, he's going to play the Mercy. You're going to have Shaz on the Zen, so not going to have that Sombra Lucio combination. I feel like you can use that kind of trick play where you get up real close one time. This time, the Spitfire are definitely going to check that.
I'm glad they switched back to the Mercy here as well, because again, those first picks that they were getting against the side of London Spitfire didn't mean much at all, because they just got rezzed up instantly. Now at least the Gladiators can also sort of cover over any mistakes. It's like a Band-Aid that you can apply if someone just gets a little bit too far forward. Very standard composition for the Gladiators, in my opinion, and we'll see. Have Wuyao come forward? Yeah, 20% of his Wuyao's damage being from the ultimate is actually considerable. Nicely done now. It's going to be both the front line trying to jump in, but they actually realized that the majority of the Gladiators are set up on the right side high ground, so that might have been slightly ill-informed to push in the way that they did. But now Wuyao and Gesture are trying to work with each other, but they're dealing with a heck of a lot of enemies. We can't even see the rest of the Spitfire on screen. They might be a little bit behind, but Hagapun gets taken down by Asher, and already that's half the healing gone.
Yeah, both tanks for the Spitfire. They jump onto that left-hand side high ground. Everybody for the Gladiators playing up on the top right. It's going to be Asher on the Tracer getting behind, getting some picks. Wuyao here, he gets D-maxed.
He's gone for a long walk off a short ledge. I'll give you the big tip. Right, so the only loss for the Gladiators in that particular fight was Bishu. Now, Bishu didn't even... He actually jumped off the edge to get his mech back faster. The only thing that was killed was his mech in general. This is the first pick, I think, from Asher in this fight. No, a little bit later on in the piece, but he's found Prophet. This guy is proving to be such a huge resource, a huge pickup for the side of Los Angeles Gladiators. Let's see what more he can show us now, as he's getting close to a pulse bomb.
And it takes the Tracer duties away from Surefour, but allows Surefour to play, the 76, the McCree, the Widowmaker heroes he's very talented as. Be remix jumping on Wuyao, they'll get a D-Mech here, so now the Spitfire may need to kind of, regroup, but they only have 50 seconds left, not a ton of time.
This has been nice damage from the Los Angeles Gladiators. The focus fire has been good. You notice they got that D-suit early on Wuyao, and there, look, he's been hung around in mini-D before. Now the res comes in there, so hopefully he can get back into his mech and go, because Hurek has a tactical visor here. Transcendence, though, is coming out in response, so Hurek's going to hold on to this for a little while. Both of the Gladiator supports have actually used their ultimates, and both are vulnerable now to attack visor to be used after the fact. Hurek has to be patient, and it looks like he's done with being patient. Remix trying to get away here, but he's discorded and taken down by the attack visor. In the meantime, it was Gesture to get rid of Shawfall and Big Goose to fall. It was a matter of old economy, and some would say it's a matter of time, but the Spitfire take the first point with hardly 10 seconds left.
It may have been a miscommunication there from the Gladiators, because they caught Valkyrie and Transcendence at the same time. Maybe they thought like, a more aggressive push was coming in from the Spitfire, but you had Shaz on the point, who was using his Transcendence. You had Big Goose up in the sky with the Valkyrie. They really didn't get a lot of great use out of those support ults. Then the attack visor comes through from Hurek. They're able to take that point A.
Okay, so there's a lot of zoning potential in a self-destruct from Bishu here. If there's no sort of bubble put down by Gesture, that's one approach you could take. But it's likely the pulse bomb here is going to be trying to use. That's actually force a Transcendence. That's quite big. The Gladiators can actually just disengage for a little bit or try and follow up with a self-destruct here. They stayed on the payload the whole time, though. Impressive work for Spitfire to know how to manage the explosion from that Diva ultimate. But now Bishu's pushing forward. He's trying to shove them off the payload here. There needs to be follow-up damage from the backline of the Gladiators to supplement this kind of aggression. And that's good. The Transcendence is there. Just who used this earlier on to no effect. It was a Spitfire. Good stopping power there. And now the goalposts have been set for the Gladiators. They know how far they need to get to finish this map and, in fact, to win it. And there's a lot of confidence. It feels good coming in knowing that.
They have a ton of time to do it. 3 minutes and 39 seconds on the clock for the Gladiators. Potentially sending this series to a tiebreaker map, which I don't think a lot of people would have predicted coming into today.
2-2 would be quite the interesting result. I mean, I don't really subscribe to the concept of upsets here early on in the Overwatch League because it's a matter of complete speculation. But
so many teams feeling out, their roster, right? Who works well together, what kind of comps they can run, what they can't do against certain teams and other teams. So I think it's a lot of just kind of, it's like boxing, right? Where both guys in the middle of the ring are just like dancing around each other. Or whether it's a Floyd Mayweather fight for the first 14 rounds, he's just like dancing around, just trying to feel the other guy out. I feel like there's a lot of that going on in the preseason.
And a lot of things that teams don't really have fully nailed down, or stuff that's going to change drastically by the time Season 1 of the Overwatch League does kick off, but they're going to go back for the triple DPS here. So Shaz is going to be on that Genji once again, and the Spitfire now needs to hope not to get burst out. So perhaps to spread out a little bit more might be their option. They will all very much caught underneath the bulk of Remix as he hit the ground on that Winston, and Shaz just had to dash through a couple times to clean him up.
Y'all trying to get some damage down here at the beginning. Also see a little bit of what the side of the LA Gladiator is going to run. See if Shaz can get as fortunate as he did in their first offensive attack, just dashing through 3 players up top. So you see the Gladiators just feeling out here. They're going to try and push for this right-hand high ground again. Now as Shaz gets a better view on where the Spitfire are setting up, they may not want to do that.
Now, I like this point contest, though. They're doing it from a point where there's not much light side available. The short ball find target point early on in the fight. So that long-range healing now not going to be a factor at all. Remix did drop it as well. The DC finds Gesture. He gets the DC on Wuyal. And, of course, now getting DC himself to bring Remix back into the fight. Really nice dive for a team that's not been together very long. They made that look like they didn't have to think about it.
Well, look, you have 2 tank players who have been playing together for a while. Same with the supports. You get those guys on the same page, and then the DPS, you just kind of fill in the slots. Now the Gladiators, they have some time here, and look at this. Sherpa was actually going to go over to the Bastion. They're going to send him on the cart.
We've seen it plenty of times before, and also because the Spitfire died so late in that fight, they're quite a long way away from getting here, and some of them are spawning even further back. Look how far back they are. They've got to run and sprint to try and get to this point. Otherwise, it's going to be a tiebreaker map in this series. They've got to get there. There's 2 minutes left, and yeah, it's going to be 2 minutes, should I say, just to jump onto the point. And Shortfall brings the friend. He's going to now lay in with some of the damage, and the Bastion delivers on its promise to leave in his wake. Profit is down, no trace of presence, so no stall potential on the payload. Shortfall, again, with the marching band, the Bastion play, and Shortfall just has to move it. It's just that simple. The man who said that at any occasion, any opportunity, he'll go for the Bastion, will go for that pick. Overtime, a tiebreaker map is what we're going to be seeing in this series.
Yeah, the Los Angeles Gladiators who take that map. A nice switch there at the end from Sharpor to go over to the Bastion. Knows that the spawners are so far away from London, can right up on the cart and force a lot of chaos on the side of the Spitfire.
There's not much you can do about a Bastion setting up there in those final moments, so a lot of the work had already been done, I think, by the Gladiators in the lead up to that point. That's interesting. I'm not sure if people got the memo in there. It is not a London Spitfire win, in fact, so yeah. I see you, fam. I know it, you know it. We got one more map to come. Don't shrug at me, you know what's happening, you know the rules. We're going to have one more map here, and it will be a control, which is going to be super exciting, especially considering how dominant the Spitfire were last time we saw them on that map. What's up, Jude?
You have to wonder if the Spitfire, you make any changes, you leave this lineup in to play that final map.
Do they make a substitution?
I think you just let it go.
I think not, actually, because I think that was where we actually saw... Actually, was it the side of...
Yes, it was. They had the Busan players in, and they made quick work of the Gladiators on control. You wonder if the Gladiators, they make any changes, they can go back to that first control map, think about what went wrong.
I'm digging.
Oh, there we go. They changed it now. That's what the hype's about, yeah.
Los Angeles wins now? Well, that's still not correct. I don't want to be that guy. I know we're pandering to a home crowd here. I mean, I live in LA, so I feel that, but that's also not correct.
There we go.
Los Angeles could win. Oh, we're going to get there anyway. So it looks like at the moment we might actually have a substitution in the last map for Los Angeles.
Yeah, just looking at the players on the LA lineup right now, looks like we'll have Hydration coming in for Bishu. So, I mean, Hydration, mostly a DPS player, right? We did see him play some Roadhog, though, when they played Junkertown. You know, we saw him play Doomfist on Horizon. You know, Lijiang Towers map, we've seen Doomfist in the past.
Say Doomfist again.
Doomfist.
There you go. Thank you. I love the way you say it.
Right.
Well,
I don't say it the Australian way. How do the Australians say Doomfist?
Doomfist. Doomfist is what we call him. No, well, and we might see him on that particular map, but it definitely feels like it's been a little bit of a niche pick there at this stage. Lijiang Tower is going to be our next map in this series, though, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And that's where we might see a bit of a, a trip back to the Reinhardt, the Junkrat, Zarya mix that we actually saw yesterday in the tiebreaker between the Shock and the Valiant.
Yeah, some points you can also run the Pharah as well. I thought Surefour was huge there in Bonnie, right? He was able to get that first pick. Probably won't see Bastion here. Don't think you'll see Bastion here, but the way the Gladiators have kind of brought it out like twice already, who knows? But looks like everybody gets set up in the lobby. This would be a huge upset, although we are still in the preseason, right? No, it would be a huge...
Say upset one more time, I'm going to take your box away.
It would be a huge upset for the Gladiators if they're able to take this.
Yeah, look, I mean, especially in the context of this series and how much the Gladiators got shut down on Ilios, that we really didn't see much from them there. Yeah. We saw that. We did see Surefour play a Pharah, but he was playing it into a McCree, and there just wasn't a heck of a lot going right. And you saw, I mean, Ruins was filthy. I mean, that first shot Reg started off. We saw Prophet just starting to farm support after support there. So it's more a matter of logistics. It's more a matter of not getting staggered out on that particular map. It's something that happens to everybody and can be a very difficult process to reverse when it occurs.
I think the stage looks the coolest when it's Lijiang Tower.
That's really nice.
Lights go out a little bit. It sets the scene for a great Game 5 we have coming up right now between the London Spitfire and the Los Angeles Gladiators.
That's it. You're allowed to cheer. You're allowed to make some noise, ladies and gentlemen. It's a decider map in this series, after all. And you can already feel that home crowd spirit brewing when we see the Los Angeles Valiant or the Los Angeles Gladiators appear. I want to hear shields up as the chant. And obviously, if you are a fan of the Spitfire, it's aces high, which is awesome as well. So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it'll be awesome to see like both LA teams go at it in this arena. As we get into the regular season.
I'm gonna be so torn, dude. That's gonna
split
be
down the middle. Now, you've gotten into LA sports.
I do. Yeah, I think the Rams. I'm actually a Saints fan, but I enjoy the Rams. Yeah. I started watching when I moved here. So.
Right, so you're a Saints fan, but since the Rams are doing good, you'll be a front runner and be a Rams fan for this season.
I've never said that. I never said that.
Right, but we all know why it's happening now.
Atlanta's gonna get wrecked, fam. Right, so yeah, let's jump in here. We're going to be heading on towards Garden. So this is a map where Pharah is definitely a good pick to go towards. And I love the fact that we're seeing a hover on towards this Widowmaker here. Surefour's Widow is pretty nasty. And again, Pharah, it's definitely got to respect this.
Well, we've seen Taimu do it on this point. He goes over to the Widowmaker, kind of like stands by the spot a little bit further out, gets out of the bar, and then goes back and changes to something else. So jump right into the action.
I didn't know.
There he goes there. Potentially knocking some players off that bridge. Hurek putting down some damage onto the Gladiators.
Hurek just pressuring. You can see he's staying quite close to the building because he's not sure if Los Angeles have hits yet. And now he knows there's a shot that comes through and gives him a very cheap haircut. Surefour forcing him right back, and Hurek might have to think twice about how he sets up. He's hugging those walls. He's not showing himself at all to Surefour and very much just trying to get damage done and save things. But guess what? Hydration doesn't have to worry about that. He's not going up against the Widowmaker. He gets to walk out into the open and just duck rockets on top of the Spitfire.
It's a triple DPS lineup here for the Gladiators. Hydration on the Pharah. Asher playing Tracer. It seems like, outside of his McCree play, it seems like they're really focusing on him as that Tracer player. Then Surefour now on the Widowmaker. With Surefour and Hydration, they can give you a lot of interesting looks in terms of DPS.
Options are plenty for the Gladiators, and so far it's working out. Wuyal doesn't stick around for very long. Surefour picks off the mech pretty comfortably, and Hydration, it's the 1-2 punch, the hammer and anvil, as you would say, for the Los Angeles Gladiators to combine like that. Surefour's a little bit close to Gesture right now, but he's able to back away. The bubble gets dropped down. Hydration, though, that is nicely done to find closer. Getting up closer on towards the point with the barrage. It does make you vulnerable as a Pharah, but if you have the element of surprise, the enemy team can already be flattened by rockets before they realize what's going on.
Yeah, the Spitfire was trying to just be on that point, force the Gladiators over the bridge, but Hydration comes from behind, lands a rocket barrage here. Interesting, also the Gladiators not playing the Pharah Mercy combination, just the Pharah. Hagabin will go on the side of the map there. The hands of Hydration as the Gladiators looking much better here on Lijiang Tower.
I like this from Hydration as well. He gets on the point and just contests it to make sure the Spitfire don't steal it away while the Gladiators were just disengaging and using the Transcendence to its full effect. Hydration, some good prediction there, but Prophet's going to find him, dashing straight through. He was getting healed at the same time, and Asher now deliberating how he might employ this Pulse Bomb. No, probably not worth using on Hurek, especially if he does have a recall available, but Asher's very low. He didn't have a recall himself, though. Healing
But a 75% opening from the Los Angeles Gladiators is impressive, and it's definitely going to be putting pressure on the Spitfire to try and equalize.
I wonder, though, if you're going to have to change a lot if you're the Gladiators, right? Surefour goes off of Widow. He'll start playing 76, but you have Big Goose. He has that sound barrier. You imagine they use it. Maybe you get the Mercy in the mix, though. It'll be the Dragon Blade that comes out from Prophet, plus the Transcendence here for the Spitfire. So this is the fight where the Spitfire will take with relative ease. They'll push the Gladiators back.
That was insanely aggressive. The Spitfire, not only do they fight on the enemy team side of the map, but they engage with the Transcendence. They were adamant that they were going to fight and win it right there. Perhaps they're trying to generate some more ultimate percentage there, but Prophet, I believe, used the Dragon Blade amongst that. So yeah, very aggressive little spurt there from the Spitfire.
Well, now it gives a little bit of a window here for the Gladiators who have their sound barrier. They're going to have a Rocket Barrage and a Pulse Bomb, but no support on the side for the Spitfire. There's going to be a few kills going down from Hydration's Rocket Barrage, and he actually gets closer, so closer 95% to that Valkyrie.
Oh my lord!
Don't have the opportunity to use it.
パラが止まんねえな。
Behind Shaz and wasn't able to find it there. Every member on the Los Angeles
それじゃ出せばいいの
Gladiators
に
giving an account of themselves in that last fight. Prophet looked like he had him dead to rights, and Shaz would have been, well, expensive cutlery by the time he was done, but no.
Oh, and they get closer at the beginning of this, and he has the Valkyrie already 87% towards the Gladiators. So what do you do if you're the Spitfire?
勝ち確やんけ。
Get your Mercy back in the fight. You do have the Transcendence for the side of the Gladiators and a Pulse Bomb. That's a huge pick there by Shaz.
This is starting to get out of control here. The Gladiators out in front. The Transcendence being used, and that enables him to secure the kill on Wu Yao. Hydration in a scouting position. He finds closer. He backs up into the rocket launcher of Farah, and she's more than happy to get rid of the Mercy in the most grisly way possible. Still, Wu Yao chases down, managed to find Hydration, and Surefour fell over on the point. Gesture with the flailing fists of fury was able to deal with the Soldier 76. And just as it seemed with Los Angeles for about to win the round, Spitfire came back in their favor, 62 to 99.
And now Los Angeles, they have no ults here.
Good.
Spitfire, they do have their Transcendence. Closer moves off of Mercy, goes over the Lucio, and you're going to get a Dragon Blade here for the Spitfire. So the Spitfire now looking in pretty good shape.
Hydration starting to respect the fact that Hureg is now on the 76, so he now is sticking closer to that middle building. Don't know what Prophet was looking for there. He walked straight into a heck of a lot of healing and a lot of damage, and he went just a little bit too far. Over-aggression and hubris seems to have hurt the Spitfire at the start of the fight, but at least they equalize for a 5v5. Hureg connects with Remix with a Helix rocket, but Surefour's got a lot of space to work now, and that's mostly thanks to Remix being in that front line in the first place. Single tank is hard to play with, but there's damage to back him up, and the barrage is going to come down. Gesture just falls apart. A recall hastily off the point there by Prophet, knows he's in danger. Now we have the point in control of the Gladiators, and overtime has begun.
And you see Hydration just putting down the damage. Moira comes out at the end, trying to get back towards the point. Oh, it looks like Huyal gets right onto the point as Diva trying to make a last-ditch effort here for the Spitfire. But you see Hydration high up in the sky, putting down tons of damage here. Looks like the Gladiators in a very good spot to take this map.
Very cheeky from Jester to get back, but no, eventually it's inexorable almost, and undoubtable as the Gladiators get the last bits of damage done. The stall was there, but there was nothing to back it up for the Spitfire. They'd already lost before the fight had begun.
And the tides turn there because the Spitfire try and get aggressive again. The Transcendence plus the Dragon Blade going all the way back towards that Gladiator spawn to the other side of the bridge. I believe it's Big Goose who just lands a boop on a Prophet. He's not able to get anything. And then Prophet in there, Zenyatta so out of position, right? Because they just push all the way through that bridge. You get your tank behind them. You have the DPS players follow that up. And you're able to take that point here on Lijiang Tower.
And now we're going to see a Junkrat in the mix here for the Gladiators. Excuse me, which I enjoy. A Genji for Hydration, so a different flavor than perhaps what we've been seeing for most of this series. And the Spitfire have a bit of a different comp as well. This is what I wanted to see, is Reinhardt, Zarya, Junkrat, McCree.
Yeah, and it'll be solo tank for the Gladiators with that Junkrat. So interesting setup. Usually when we see Junkrat in the mix, it's usually the Zarya and the Reinhardt that come out.
So now it's going to be a little bit of a slower start to the fight, especially with Shaz getting an early pick on Hureg. Again, the Mercy's there, so the res will also be there. Note that the Los Angeles Gladiators don't have a Mercy of their own, so picks like that will not be able to be covered over so quickly and hastily for the Gladiators.
Shaz, though, just like at Contenders Playoffs, he's able to get those first picks on the Zenyatta, forces the res out, and then although they do lose Remix, you're able to get a kill from Surefour, one from Asher, and take the fight. You see Surefour sitting up top, has the Riptire available. Maybe just trying to bait the players for the Spitfire here onto the point.
Gesture already at half HP there after the early salvos of damage. And Short4 gets himself nestled right in between Hureg and Gesture and finds a kill on the McCree. Although he goes down as a response, Prophet found him hiding in the dark holes, controlling his tire with his Australian telekinesis, I'm going to assume. You'll know what it is that allows him to do that. But Asher now is in the mix, but Hagapun sends him packing there. A volley of orbs of destruction puts him right back into spawn.
Spitfire just back up a little bit, and they're able to just push their way onto the point. The Transcendence comes out here from Shaz. So it looks like the Gladiators want to take this fight. It'll be Short4 taking out Prophet. Closer, though. Has the Valkyrie available, brings Prophet right back up into the action. Big Goose getting closer towards that sound barrier. Hydration working his way towards that Dragon Blade as well. As the point still contested, it's the Gladiators that building up percentage.
You see Big Goose there as well, just maintaining pressure and presence on the point, giving his team extra capture progress as time goes on. So it actually allows the Gladiators to get an extra 10% on that, otherwise would have had it. Finally, Shaz and Asher fall. And you can see at this point, Short4 is hoping that they try and chase him down to stagger. He puts a trap out in front of him, but Wu Yao spots it, destroys it. Short4, though, is not going to allow himself to be picked off on his own. He'll wait for a bit.
Now the Spitfire have a lot of ults at their disposal. Everything but Valkyrie here, so maybe we see a big grab land here in the hallway and catch a lot of the players from the Gladiators.
Prophet's looking for Short4 as well. He was lurking around the side halls. Now he's back on towards the point. No! Short4 found him. The Hunter becomes the Hunted, perhaps. It's going to be sound barrier used for Los Angeles Gladiators, and most of that extra HP has been churned through already. Shaz, though, forced to use the Transcendent, so it is both support ultimates being committed to this fight by the Los Angeles Gladiators. And you know what? They probably needed both of them here, Matt. They took a lot of damage early on in the piece. Now the Dragon Blade also committed to the fight. This is all well and good, and I like that people are cheering, and I encourage it. The Gladiators only have the Primal Rage here to try and hold out.
Not anymore. Looks like Remix has just used his Primal Rage, so
why have you done that?
Probably an accident. Wouldn't use the Primal Rage up top there. So now they don't have any ults. So now it's even worse than you originally had thought. The Spitfire, they have their Valkyrie. Prophet opens things up with a Pulse Bomb on iRemix.
Okay, at least the trade was there though. Hagapun goes down. Nice from Short4 to pick him up in the back lines. It looks like the Spitfire actually kind of want to resettle this. I don't know if I want to get too aggressive. Shaz is insane, by the way. In case you weren't already aware, Prophet and Hureg go down. Prophet hastily brought back on his feet by Closer, but Shaz is there with another one. 3 kills for Shaz in the fight. And I tell you what, the Finnish know how to find their players. Perfect picks with this set. Not much else to be said there. They didn't have the ultimates, but it just didn't matter. They got a monster in the form of Shaz. And he dumpsters most of London Spitfire in the last stages of that round. Los Angeles Gladiators, by the way, the purple one, are going to take the series 3-2.
Shaz played great on the Zenyatta. He was able to pick up so many kills, just like how he did at Contenders.
Thank you.
There we go. Now the cheers start to come down. It is the Gladiators who take this match over the London Spitfire.
First, we saw the Valiant yesterday with an impressive performance over the Shock. Now, the Gladiators take it to the London Spitfire. I love a good, what do you call it, upset, perhaps, Matt, but it's a fantastic performance, and the first look at both of these two teams has been awesome. We're going to go to a break, ladies and gentlemen. When we return, we'll have the desk to break it all down.
are back live from the Blizzard Arena. Welcome, everybody. This is the post-game wrap-up as we just saw the Los Angeles Gladiators taking down the London Spitfire. I'm joined once again. We got Hex and Doa at the desk, and let's start with game number 3. Going into halftime, we were tied up 1-1. Clearly, Spitfire, not the plan that they wanted to employ in game 1 on Junkertown. Went to Gladiators, but then they showed their true form on Horizon. But let's take it now to Numbani and talk a little bit, Ilios, and talk a little bit about what we saw in the control. Hex, I want to start with you because this was a pretty one-sided affair. A quick 2 rounds coming in for the Spitfire.
Well, it absolutely was, and I think when you think about control, everyone is going to run a Tracer. It is Tracer's one of her best map types, and then when you think about Tracer, you automatically think about a man named Prophet. And we could have just said, whatever Prophet ends up doing, show us the highlight of that. So we do have a little bit of a replay. This is towards the end of the fight. He's got Pulse Bomb up. They're at 90%, and this is where Tracer's mouth starts watering because you know they have to come through a choke. Everyone's going to be there, and then you see them all clumped up, and this is just hoping that you just don't miss. Of course, Prophet does not miss. He hits short 4, rolling into his supports on his own. A little somersault of doom right there, a 3K, but everything that led up to that, Prophet was simply dominating space.
And as you said, Prophet should be a household name. When you think of Tracers, you think of Prophet. How do you describe his playstyle for anyone who hasn't watched him before today?
It's good. I mean, my high-level analysis is good.
Very thorough.
He can get aggressive. Also, you see there that he makes the most of his pulse bombs. He puts people in bad positions, and it's just really hard to pin him down. You never know which angle he's going to come from.
He just takes good fights, too, to add to that. I mean, he's very intelligent about the engagements he decides to involve himself in.
Let's take it over now to game 4, and this is where the Gladiators, they started off with a whole lot of momentum, and I love the opening strategies, not only on the attack, but on the defense. But we're going to take a moment now and look at the attack here. Shaz, he's been playing support all match long. Well, coming into this game 4, he switches it up, and here's a look at our clip. We have Remix working with Shaz to perfection. It's going to be the monkey leading the way. Don't call him a monkey, he's a scientist. Jumping in, and then Shaz on that Genji, you saw back-to-back-to-back dashes. They open up with 4 kills, make it 5, and the whole team wipes instantly on their attack. That's how you gain some momentum. That's how you get it going. On the flip side, though, we saw some strong diva play. Now, we've shown the 4K enough here, and I do want to get your thoughts. Numbani, Doa, what was the difference maker between the teams? How did the Gladiators force that game 5?
Well, I mean, first, just to address the 4K real quick, I mean, that part of Numbani, you really have to watch out for those diva self-destructs. It's an angle with that corner that it's really hard to kind of get out of the way if the diva sends the mech in. So you see a lot of those there. But as far as the difference between the 2 divas goes, the biggest thing that strikes me is that Bishu was really occupied the entire time having to handle Hureg, having to handle Prophet, and he never really got to be aggressive at all. He was spending most of his time just kind of babysitting his team.
Now, one guy who got to do whatever he wanted was Surefour for the Gladiators, and we were able to mic him up, and the rest of the team towards the end of that game 4, they knew they were sending it to the tiebreaker, and this is what it sounded like in the booth.
Oh, watch out. But no bubble, Bishu. No bubble. I want the monkey up. Monkey, there's that. I'm going into spawn. Monkey 1. Just so use ults to get them. I'm Mercy ult. I'm popping Mercy ult. Oh, dang. Diva on point. I'm a Mercy. Mercy online. Mercy online. I'm a Mercy. Bastion was the call.
And there you have the guys having a lot of fun up there on the stage for the Gladiators. Real quick, we're not going to show any replays, but just give me the quick breakdown. We had a decider. It was Control Point, Li Zhang Tower. First time when they matched up on Ilios, it was all Spitfire. How does Gladiators take it here in the end, Doa?
Well, I mean, they just ended up kind of fixing a lot of the problems that they had early on. And on the flip side, though, I'm really kind of surprised from London that we didn't see more of the McCree and the Widowmaker that we saw that really helped them out a lot on Ilios. I think if they had used those picks as well, we might have seen things go a little bit differently. But a big part of it, of course, was Shaz on that Zenyatta. And we talked about him on the Genji on Nimbana working really well into that single support 3 DPS composition, but I think we've got like a clip of him kind of fragging out on the Zenyatta, and that's something you need to keep in mind with Zenyatta, right, guys? He is not a healer that does damage. He is a damage dealer that heals. He is DPS first and foremost, and you get that proper application of the Discord orbs, proper application of the orbs to the people with the Discord orb. He had a lot of kills.
He was doing amazing stuff all series long. Gladiators walk away with the victory, and right now we have our winner on the stage with Zoe. Let's send it over to Surefour.
Thank you so much, guys. I got the man himself right next to me, Shofar Font. First of all, of course, congratulations. That was an insane performance by you and your team. Did you expect that at all?
I don't think our team exactly expected it to win. I mean, we're always went into it, we put it our all, but it feels really good to actually win. Spitfires is definitely a really strong team, so with us being so new and being able to like pull off this win, even if it's just a preseason, is pretty good.
Yeah, it was fantastic to watch that. And now, real talk here, Shofar. Is there any way on Chunkatan to win without using Bastion?
There is, but if that Bastion gets set up, then he's a force to be reckoned with. And
when you went Bastion and you got killed right at the beginning, did you get worried at all? Like, was there any idea of maybe switching off of it right away, or did you know that you can just ride a payload home in Yen?
I think you just feel it out. I mean, a lot of my teammates were alive, so just keep going. I mean, you always have a mercy to res you if you die, so.
It's true. Now, you guys have been running the triple DPS combo a lot. We've talked prior to the match already about Bishu being ill, so you were forced to scrim and do triple DPS. Is he still ill? Is that why you're still running it, or you just started to feel very comfortable with it?
Well, since we had the map pool, we knew what we had to practice, so the days where he was sick and we couldn't do him, we had to like practice all the maps and just figure it out. And we were able to see which maps felt strong for us with triple DPS, and we tried it out here, and it seemed to work out well.
Yeah, it seemed to work out. You kind of won the match, you know. Why do you think it actually is working out, though? Do you think other teams are just not really used to it anymore?
The thing with triple DPS is, against it, you have to be really decisive on who you want to go on, because you're getting poked from all angles, and there's so much damage coming in that if you're not decisive, then you'll eventually just get pushed out.
Well, thank you so much for your insight. Once again, thanks for joining me here. Your hair looks gorgeous, and we're heading back to the desk.
Thank you, Zoe. So nice to hear from the Silver Fox, Shorefore in the squad. A big upset, according to a lot of the community rankings out there, as Los Angeles Gladiators take their preseason victory. Let's take a look at our full day as we see the matches coming up. First off, it was Gladiators over Spitfire 3-2 as that one went the distance to a Game 5, but we still have 2 more matches to go. On the other side of our commercial break, we are going to see the next battle. This is an old school esports rivalry, new brands. We got the Dallas Fuel taking on the Houston Outlaws. It's a battle of the Western squads, and it's coming up on the other side of this break.
気持ちいいこれ。ダフラン。盛り上げてる人がいるんだ。 げてんのね。
We're back for more preseason action as it all heats up here in the Blizzard Arena. Welcome, everybody. Once again, I am your host, Chris Puckett, joined at the desk by three brilliant minds. We'll be breaking down all of the Overwatch action for you here on just day 2 of the Overwatch League preseason. To welcome our new desk member, we have Uber, who is just on the mic over there with Mr. X, casting that first match. Real quick, Uber, thoughts on the first game of the day? Did you expect this one to go 5 maps?
I don't think anyone did, to be honest with you, and I think the ultimate result was pretty interesting, but time will tell, and proof will be in the pudding as well when it comes to a new roster like GC Busan. But I love the mix, seeing all these players. That was pretty exciting to see them here on stage in Burbank.
And of course, we should remind everybody at home, these are just exhibition matches. These points aren't going towards your regular season record yet. No, that starts in January. So a lot of changes could happen between now and the first day of the regular season. But let's get geared up for our second match of the day. We are going to see the epic battle that everyone has been talking about since we announced the preseason schedule. And you can see here as we go through all 3 for the day. We started with the Gladiators versus the Spitfire, but coming up next, it's Dallas Fuel taking on the Houston Outlaws, and we close things out with New York Excel taking on the Boston Uprising around 6 p.m. With that said, it's time to jump right into it. Are you guys ready here in the venue? That's right, there are our teams, and it's time to introduce the players. Let's take a look at the Dallas Fuel and Houston Outlaws. Los Angeles, please put your hands together and welcome our first team to the stage. It's the Dallas Fuel. Uber, this is one of the most famous squads in all of Overwatch, and coming into the Overwatch League, the team just got better.
Absolutely, the supplementing and fill those important roles on this team. Of course, Effect coming in made such a big difference, but now XQC and Custer being added into this lineup gives a lot more voice to this team, and also a lot of flexibility. They didn't really have a huge Pharah or Genji player on this team, or the flexibility to make those comps happen, but now they have a myriad of options at their fingertips.
You saw Effect coming out all casual. The Swedes starting to get pumped up. But Zoe, tell me a little bit about the first guy that walked out today. Taimu was all smiles as he entered the stadium.
He was. He's pumped ever since he got up this morning. That was apparently very early. He's been tweeting out already, saying that he's been playing Overwatch for 2 years now, and to get a chance to play in the Overwatch League alongside the best teammates he could imagine. He's pumped. Get ready, fans. He came here to win this league.
He's got one of the best widows on the planet. Will we see it today? I think so. We'll find out in just a moment. But before we get to the widow, let's introduce the opposition on the right side of the stage. Please put your hands together for the Houston Outlaws.
Oh.
The Houston Outlaws. This is a mix of all Western players. The GM of the Outlaws, Flame, he has been scouting these guys, bringing the best parts of a number of teams into his lineup. Hex, what do you see when you look at this team?
Well, I see a big portion of the United States World Cup team. Raucus especially is going to be on support. Then you've got players like Cool Matt and also Jake from that World Cup team. Now, Jake, there's some questions sometimes. He can be inconsistent, which Jake shows up, but I think they build out this roster with other DPS gods that it won't matter. Linkser and Clockwork are going to show up huge when they get a chance to play.
There's one of the best divas on the planet, and cool, Matt. You saw Jake, the leader at the World Cup. He was always getting his team fired up. Mitch, what are you expecting to see from the team today?
I'm expecting to see again a lot of that Widowmaker
Pretty
action. It's been whispered in hushed tones in some corners of the hallways that Linkser has been an absolute monster on that pick. Again, I said Dallas have a lot of options. So do Houston. Their tank line is really good, and they've been playing together for so long back under the name of FNRGFE. This is going to be an insanely fun matchup to watch.
As you mentioned, Muma and Cool Matt, those are the tanks for the Houston Outlaws, but I cannot wait to see what is going to come from Linkser. Last time he was in this venue, it was for the Contenders Finals. He led Giganti to that championship there. Will he be able to do it once again? Do you guys expect to see a Taimu versus Linkser Widow battle, Hex?
I absolutely do, and I've said it for years that Linkser is the best counter sniper in all of Overwatch. Some snipers and Widowmakers can take over games. Linkser can take over that fight in particular. He's always been able to completely negate the other Widowmaker.
Houston said they've been scrimming everybody. Dallas, we know they're coming in prepared as well. I want to ask you, Zoe, who is the player to watch today? If you're tuning in for the first time to Overwatch League, who's your favorite to watch?
Honestly, in this very matchup, I am looking for that tank battle between Muma and XQC. I know XQC is treating this a little bit as a Contenders grudge match. They had a few moments there. If you want to go back in time and take a look at that, you will know what I'm talking about. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right, maybe the Winston. What about you, Mitch?
I'm looking forward to seeing Custer play on stage here. My boy from Adelaide, we're from the same place, and he is an incredible voice on this roster and a born leader and amazing in that flex support role.
You said Custer, not Caster, right?
I said Custer.
All right, double checking. The Australian gets to me sometimes. And Hex, what about you?
Well, I mean, Cool Matt lives up to his name. So if anyone gets a little nervous on this stage, he's one of the most chill, cool people you will ever meet, both in-game and out-of-game. A calming veteran presence who's been around since day one of closed beta.
All right, I want to check the pulse of the crowd before we send it over to our casters. Who here is cheering for the Houston Outlaws today? It's quite a few people. Now, who wants to see the boys that burn blue, the Dallas Fuel, walking away as the winners? The crowd is fired up. This is going to be a good one. Let's send it over to our casters. We got Doa with Monte Cristo.
Hey guys, that's right. We are here for this Texas matchup. Yeehaw, Monte Cristo.
It's the shootout at 4 p.m.
That's right. That's my gun sound.
Wow, it's a great gun sound.
It is, isn't it? Well, here we are.
We're gonna redub McCree's pistol with you making gun sounds in the game.
That's good. Well, spoiler alert, you heard it here first, folks. Look for that patch coming to a client near you. Dallas Fuel, let's check them out, guys. This is a roster that we've known a long time, kind of as envious in the past, and they've taken that and they've added to it, of course, but it is kind of that nearly classic envious roster coming in now, the addition being Custa on support.
Yeah.
Coming from Australia. Custa, not Caster.
Yeah, Caster.
Important to note. Although I'm ready. Put me in, coach. I can play that Zen. I am the world's best Zenyatta. Let's check out the Outlaws and see what they're bringing to the table. A lot of this built off the Corn Dog core. That's right, the FNRG FE team. And then adding a lot to that, of course, primarily of those, or foremost of those, some of the great Team USA players that we just saw at BlizzCon.
Yeah, and Linkser. Dusk talked about it. Clearly the MVP of the EU Contenders Finals. Absolute monster. He's a player that seems to just get better and better and better over time. Everybody's really hyped for the Widowmaker duels, especially we can assume we're going to see those on Dorado. And Taimu, you know him. He's a very confident player. He's going to want to win those duels, and he's going to take that opportunity.
That's right. So let's check out our maps for this 4-map set. Starting things off on Dorado. Our payload map, then going to Anubis for Assault, Oasis for Control, and then finally ending things on Eichenwald. And as you can see from our lovely stage in front of us, we are starting things off on Dorado. So this map, of course, if you're not familiar with it, is just a straight up escort map. You start with the payload, you try to push it to the end, and that is basically that.
And as we've seen already, starting yesterday, it has been a Widowmaker paradise. We've seen both teams use Widows, primarily on attack, though, on this first point coming right out of the gate.
And Monty, you know, we've been spending most of our lives living in Widowmaker's paradise.
Is that it?
That's right, yep. That's how I grew up, man.
Oh,
Then they get a Widowmaker auto. That's right.
Really?
No.
They are mean streets.
Not really. Well, they are
roving gangs are
We
a real
know
problem.
that from the cinematic. You can't even go out to the local store without being forced to beat up an Omnic. It's rough. It's rough in Dorado, guys, but we will see who takes the first one. This is a big one. I'm really curious about this because there's a lot of good potential on both sides, and then also you've got just a lot of proven potential from Energy, or at least that Energy core that makes up Dallas Fuel. But yet you've got such a strong group of players on the other side for Houston Outlaws that this one, I think out of all the matches we've had so far in the preseason, to me anyway, this one is kind of the hardest to call.
Yeah, it is going to be tough, especially because a lot of the Houston Outlaws are fully focused on Overwatch now. They're coming from a very deep background in other games and have now taken their talents here to the Overwatch League.
Yeah, true enough. So Dallas Fuel will be on the attack first. Mickey on the Reaper for the moment. I think that one might get swapped up, as is Custa on the Moira. Yeah, there's a Zenyatta. I am curious, though, if they're going to keep Mickey on that. You'd think he'd swap to the Diva. I'll be surprised if that doesn't happen. There we go, yeah.
So pretty typical defense, starting off on top of the building right now. Taimu going to look for some early picks here. Mickey going to come up on top of the building, but immediately gets surrounded by players from the Outlaws and demeched.
That's right, Taimu looking for those shots. There is no counter Widowmaker from Linkser just yet, but I would imagine that's going to pop up later in this match. Taimu looking for another shot. Ooh, nearly finds one on Arrakis on that Zenyatta. And so far, Linkser taking down Coco, so a little bit of a scattered attack already. And yeah, Linkser, yeah, he may not be on the counter Widow, but he's certainly making his presence felt on Tracer right now.
Pretty sloppy attack from the Dallas Fuel for Mickey to go up onto the high ground alone. You often see Winston and Diva camping there, and they also had Linkser on the Tracer up top, so he needs a little bit more protection from his supports and also from Coco on that Winston if he wants to go up ahead and take that high ground. So more measured approach now, going to come around on the low ground on the far side of the cart.
That's right. So they do manage to force Cool Matt back into the stairs. He's on the run. Mickey chasing him down. They have that defense matrix to try to keep him up, but it's a little bit risky there for the moment. Meanwhile, Linkser's still harassing from behind, but overall, that payload's moving a little bit forward. Oh, but just as soon as I say it, Jake pops attack visor, and they've got enough angles on Dallas Fuel that they'll be able to stop the payload cold again.
Yeah, only a couple of ultimates used, so great use of that ult economy from the Houston Outlaws. They're not overcommitting, and Jake got attack visor pretty quickly there because he's been relatively unopposed firing from that high ground.
Let's watch this one again from Linkser's perspective here. It was just one of the many things that Dallas had to worry about on this stick on the chips there on that Mercy, but the thing is what Houston has done a great job of is kind of surrounding the Dallas Fuel. They're coming at him from a lot of different angles, and it seems like Dallas is just having a hard time deciding where to dive.
Linkser also is shutting down the flank, as we saw from Effect, and still managing to deal some damage to the front line. Raucus a bit premature with the Transcendence. Will be able to heal his way up just barely.
Yeah, barely survived. That was a good dive with the Tracer and the Winston to force him away, and you know, they've done a good job, too, as we see Coco fall, of staying out of the line of sight for Taimu. Taimu just hasn't had a lot of options for shots. Chips having to pop that Valkyrie here just to bring a couple people back up again, but that payload is still not moving too much.
This is one of those times where you start to wonder whether Taimu needs to switch over to the McCree to help deal with Linkser, because he is just right now.
The disrespect pulse bomb, man, just coming in from behind. You did not see that a long time. That was a style move from Linkser right there.
That was beautiful. He's been really doing an excellent job of taking out the supports and now even finding Taimu on the Widowmaker so far. Mickey, though, going to get a demech and a kill for himself, so they are still managing to move the payload slowly forward.
Okay, and there we go, too. Taimu, after that moment, swaps to McCree. I think it's about time. Meanwhile, despite being shorthanded, as you can see, the rest of his team winning that fight, getting that payload moving a bit more. Linkser tries to go for the delay. He falls early. Transcendence coming in after that as they go on the attack, but Taimu right there with the McCree, and he is looking, well, he was in a good position, and then he walked really far up, so never mind.
This fight is still eventually going to be won by the Fuel. Good stall, though. Not sure if they needed to use that Transcendence in order to keep that payload from moving. They may have wanted that coming up on the next point because they're They will be bereft of support ultimates, and Dallas is going to have a lot to push through on point B.
I wasn't watching the health bars too closely, but it could be that, you know, either Coco or Mickey got low, and sometimes you pop that Transcendence just to keep the tanks alive because you need that big HP presence on the payload to take it.
Effect now up on the high ground, looking for a flank. Nobody coming up yet. Lynx are now on that Widowmaker, and the Widow duels have commenced, but Cool Matt will be the one flanking Taimu and taking him down.
Cool Matt dishonorably inserting himself into the Sacred Widow duel. Taimu having to duck, watching out. Oh, and there it is. Cool Matt helping out again. Stealing all the kills, man.
Cool Matt stealing all the glory, but in the right place, and that's helping out his team, and that's going to be the Dallas Fuel forced all the way back towards their spawn.
The thing you can kind of do too as a diva is you can sort of sit behind your Widowmaker and just put the defense matrix over her shoulders. So that kind of definitely tips the Widow duel in the favor of the Widowmaker that has the diva behind them.
Yeah, definitely does. Cool Matt now looking for an angle here. Effect does take down Linkster, so currently a man advantage until that Resurrect comes through from Boink, and Cool Matt will be chased around and off the map.
He can get back on with the charge, so he'll be okay for the moment. Getting a little bit low HP, but overall Houston managing to separate a lot of the members on Dallas. Taimu kind of caught on his own in this hallway. Oh, and Mickey comes in just a tiny bit too late, but the fight was over for a while already. That was clean up, and it looks like Dallas is going to have to reset again.
Yeah, Mickey didn't have the HP to come in there and actually body block, so a bit of a lost fight just to start things off, like you mentioned. And take now a look at Linkser post-resurrection.
Well, Linkser is definitely winning these Widow duels for the moment.
And they shut down the Valkyrie as well, so that was actually both support ults used in an extended duration fight for Dallas, and they lost both of those engagements. So this is a big time for desperation right now. Mickey has to do work with this self-destruct.
Now they tried to dive on the high ground. Linkser was there. They had the soldier up there too with Jake, but no kills resulting from that. The Widow duel continues, and now Taimu striking back a little bit. Coco does fall, courtesy of Muma, though. So one Winston out of the way. Taimu takes out Jake as well. So the DPS have been eliminated. Can Dallas put this into a push, though? Maybe they can get it going in just a second here.
Taimu now, the king of the high ground. Everybody trying to pile on top of the Winston shield. Linkser will come from the other direction and take out Chips as well. Back-to-back headshots.
Yeah, Linkser's been doing so much work on this Widowmaker here. Now Dallas Fuel is really stretching down to just 10 seconds remaining here, and that is just the right time for Jake to pop that tactical visor. Finds Mickey hiding out, and I don't know if anyone from Dallas can even get back. This guy's game sense is just on the next level, man. He knew exactly where Effect was. That Helix Rocket, I gotta say, in all of Overwatch, it's hard to find better Helix Rockets than Jake's.
Yeah, Jake really playing a nice game of hide and seek right there. Nobody able to escape him.
That's not a game of hide and seek I want to play. I do not want to play with Jake. If there's rockets involved, count me out.
Oh, that's a testament to the comms, though, that we see from the Outlaws, because knowing that Effect was still somewhere near the payload and they had to play that game of hide-and-seek to make sure he wasn't going to blink onto the cart and stall out further. Definitely good awareness as a team from the side of Houston.
True enough. So Dallas Fuel, disappointingly for them, only got 1 point on their attack run on Dorado, and on a map like this, you kind of expect to take point B. We don't see as many holds on this stage as we do on some other maps. So if you're Houston Outlaws, you're kind of feeling like you've got this one in the bag.
Well, especially with how Linkser's playing. What a monstrous performance on both Tracer and the Widowmaker, and consistently winning those duels against Taimu with one or two exceptions, but also the shutting down of Chips Hyen on the Mercy, causing a lot of problems for Dallas, and they need to get better control of their ult economy as well. It's been a bit sloppy.
That's the thing, more than anything else, compared to what we've seen in the past from this squad on the Dallas side, they just looked rusty. You know, they just looked like everything was just slightly off, a little bit out of tune, not on the same page, whatever you want to call it. But it kind of looks like they need to get the ball rolling a little bit more. They need to get a little bit more cohesion here.
Yeah, and they've added a bunch of new members, too.
Yeah.
Custa being a part of this roster is one of the new players that they've signed to get some more depth.
That's right. In for, you would imagine, Harry Hook right now, who normally takes up that second support slot as a Lucio a lot of the time. Here we go. Lynx are coming out on the offensive Widowmaker this time around. Looking for shots. Doesn't find Taimu. The dual getting boosted. Getting a little bit of healing in there too. Oh, but here comes Effect. And yeah, you gotta be worried. Effect is a great Tracer player. And so if you're in those Widow duels, you're always gonna have to be checking out the flanks.
The Widow was merely a distraction, though, for Effect to blink in and get the drop onto Lynxer's Widowmaker. Mickey off on his own again. Isn't going to get suited. Thanks to a little bit of healing and the use of his defensive matrix. Chips is behind though, and that's the problem. If you overextend on that Diva and the Mercy has to fly to you, you do end up in scenarios where your Mercy does get out of position and out of line of sight. Nice shot though by Jake.
We know he's a great Pharah player. We saw that before. We saw it at BlizzCon just a little while ago. Now bringing it back with the Houston Outlaws once more. Lynx are looking for some more shots. Took a chunk out of Taimu there again. But now keeping an eye out for Effect again. I think it's a good adjustment there.
It's interesting to see both Lynxer and Jake because they've probably been some of the most improved players over the course of Overwatch.
Yeah, Taimu brought back up again, but Houston Outlaws not even to find the kills on the Pharah. Wow.
Wiggling right there to make sure that he messes with his hitbox a little bit. Didn't want to get shot out of midair.
Yep.
Now the payload has moved through the choke point. Jake, I think some rockets on the other side. Barrage is ready for them. And we're going to have to see if Chips can get more use out of this Valkyrie. They should be able to move in and attempt a defense here.
You know, behind all that fighting, Effect was actually doing a pretty good job of stalling the payload. So while they did take a pretty easy point A, it took a little bit longer than they were hoping it would.
And there actually is no defense thanks to how far forward Houston is playing.
Yeah.
And this is a desperate situation now for the Dallas Fuels. Yes, they have many ultimates to dump into this fight, but they haven't forced very many out of Houston either. And it's still 4.5 minutes. That is plenty of time, and there is no stall on the payload.
Well, Dallas Fuel finally able to take that high ground, but now the dive comes in. Cool Matt jumping up there. Lynxer finds the kill on Nakoko, and that self-destruct is going to zone everybody out, if not kill them, and there goes Effect. So Houston Outlaws already mitigating that a little bit. There were enough kills, though, on the other side that they had to pause for a moment, but now the payload is moving again. And the story of point B so far has just been Houston Outlaws doing a good job of not letting Dallas Fuel get set up on the high ground well enough.
Yeah, Fuel had to push all the way back inside the point C just to make sure that they weren't going to get staggered.
Yeah.
And Lynxer taking a very far back approach. Effect is hunting him. Coco's going to try and join in here.
Wow, everything they've got is being put into killing Lynxer right now. They're trying to do it. Jake manages to demech Mickey. Meanwhile, that payload is nearly there. They have to find a way to stop them right now. And all the focus was on Lynxer, and look at that. Jake able to actually get up on the high ground and just free fire into Dallas pretty much unopposed.
Does get about 50% of his ult charge, but he's also in a risky situation. Muma is ready to jump to him if he should need some support, but here comes Effect, forced to be recall after getting put low by Jake's primary fire.
Yeah.
And he will try and get that long flank going again, it would appear.
Sure enough. So just a few meters to go for Houston Outlaws to win this first map. Pulse Bomb doesn't find any kills. Jake back on the hunt for Effect and pretty much everybody else that enters sites. I move on there as well. Meanwhile, Dallas has had a little bit of time to set up defensively here. Custa does go down. Good start for Houston Outlaws.
Well, Valkyrie had to be used just to escape from Coco, but he doesn't die, so boy gets himself topped off, and now Jake finally has worked his way up into the tactical visor. He's going to de-suit Mickey, but not before the self-destruct comes through. However, this is looking grim for the Dallas Fuel.
Well, yeah, man, I mean, during all of that, Muma just got to go wild here and just take out whoever he wanted, and that's going to be, I would say, a pretty convincing win for the Houston Outlaws here in Map 1.
Yeah, you can't say it any other way. That was a dominant showing from Houston, and particularly from Lynxer, and because of the focus that Fuel was putting on killing Lynxer, there wasn't really much pressure on Jake at all. So Jake got to deal a lot of damage pretty much unopposed off that high ground.
You know, I think it all came down to execution. Houston Outlaws had that in spades, and we're going to go to a quick break and see if they can continue the momentum. English is my first language, by the way, guys. As we go into map 2, don't go anywhere, guys. Overwatch League preseason will be right back after this.
Magritte. すげえサイトしてる。言い訳したな。うますぎありゃええでしょ。いただいたもんな。あ、これタイミングで選手交代してるのか。XQC が出るのか。違った、これ。スプリーも出てくんねえかな。マップによっては出そうだけど。
Welcome back to the Overwatch League preseason, guys. We have seen one map so far between the Houston Outlaws and Dallas Fuel, and so far Houston looking a little bit better.
It wasn't close. It wasn't close at all, Joa. You can't say that. But we are seeing some new players, and again, this is a preseason game, so a lot of substitutions are going to be coming through.
That's right. Let's check out the Dallas subs first. As you can see on your screen, XQC coming in to replace Coco for this map. I believe we have one more as well. There he is, Harry Hook coming in for Custa. Of course, the Lucio extraordinaire, and also a player that you can put in the DPS role once in a while. Meanwhile, on the Outlaws side, we have Bonnie subbing in for Raucus. So there you go. Fun times. That's right. And let's check out our maps right now, guys. We already saw Dorado, and that means it's time to go into our assault map. It's going to be Temple of Anubis. And, you know, more than anything, I think, I'm just looking forward to seeing a little bit more execution from Dallas Fuel. I mean, everything just looked a bit scattered in Dorado.
Yeah, it did. Some misfires with their support ultimates for sure. The constant losing of the Widowmaker duels for the Dallas Fuel, problematic for them. And this is another Widowmaker map, so we can anticipate a lot of Widow on attack on point A. We've seen it played occasionally into point B. I think for us too, or are we going to see the Sombra on point B?
Yeah.
In this map, we didn't see as much of it as we expected yesterday.
Now, the thing, too, is if I know Taimu, he is not going to kind of let that Widow v Widow duel rest where it was on Dorado. No. He's definitely going to bring the Widow back at some point, and he's an emotional guy. He doesn't like being shown up on stage like that. So I'm really curious to see where this one's going to go as we move into Temple of Anubis here.
And that's, we'll see who's going to end up on attack first.
Yeah. That looks like it should be Dallas, I believe. On attack here. Normally that's how it ends up. But let's talk a little bit about the change in Winston's as well, right? I mean, back when Reinhardt was the big main tank that everybody used, that's when Coco really excelled. He's a fantastic Reinhardt player, and it was a little bit of a struggle for him to adjust to playing that Winston. You and I saw that as we casted some of the Apex seasons in Korea. He eventually did, I think, adjust to the Winston, became a pretty good Winston player himself, but now you have XQC joining the team, and this guy is known for his Winston. He's a great player already. He's, we've heard, very communicative with his teammates. He does a good job working with everyone, and so I think this could actually be like a really, really big upgrade for them in terms of the Winston play.
Yeah, and that's why Dallas, we look at their off-season roster moves or their preseason roster moves, and you really like what they did because they shored up a lot of their weaknesses. Like you say with XQC, here comes an upgraded Winston player for this team. Here comes Seagull, who provides some of those projectile DPS heroes that they didn't really have a lot of strength in before. And Dallas, they always made things work previously, and they got very high tournament results with their limited tools that they had because they could do things that no one else could do, but they were also limited at times by their hero pools. So they weren't the most meta invulnerable team, but now they have more pieces. And I like those changes that they made.
That's exciting stuff. And as we mentioned earlier, Dallas Fuel on the attack here, Houston Outlaws on the defense as we get Temple of Anubis started. XQC subbing in on the Winston. Trends towards being a little bit more aggressive here, but right now you just want to provide the bulk. You want to provide the shields and try to get on the right side. Meanwhile, Effect, as we can see, in on the payload to try to draw some of the members of Houston back. Taimu having to back away here. Oh, and he actually got the trap. Oh, it's a trap.
Yeah, the fadeaway shot was enough, and you're not going to be able to come in and resurrect that if you're Houston. You're not running the Mercy this game.
Wow, bold.
Bonnie starting off with the Sombra, which is interesting. Sometimes we see that on Temple of Anubis. It is somewhat an anti-snowball mechanic because you'll have more of an opportunity to get the EMP quickly on point B in case they take the first point really fast. In this case, he just dropped it simply to kill Harry Hook on the Zenyatta.
Yeah, risky firing into the Reflect before that, but it worked out. Meanwhile, it looks like Dallas Fuel have gotten on the point. Looks like they have pushed back Houston, and I think that's going to be a point they take unless the Outlaws want to make for some sort of last-minute desperation play, but you don't see that a lot on Anubis.
No, and the thing about Banny using the EMP just to kill Harry Hook and try and stagger him at the end of that fight is now you reset your ult on point B. So you're coming in, of course, Sombra will get the ultimate quickly, but you're still coming in close to 0, and this means Fuel is going to have a great opportunity to use this Valkyrie and try and take this second point.
Yeah, this is the time. Harry Hook on the Zenyatta now, expanding his hero pool a little bit. Since the changes, Chips does bring Effect back up again. Harry has to be careful. He opts just to go down, gets res, still has that Transcendence. He's going to use it right now to try to keep his team alive as they come on to point B here. The tanks needed a little bit more health. Meanwhile, on the Houston side, they have got a lot of ults to work with, so this fight could get messy fast. There's the EMP coming in already, but Mickey doesn't care, man. Bonnie and Boink both going down to the Diva. And Effect still has that Pulse Bomb in reserve, but there's so many low health members of the Houston Outlaws, he may not need it. Decides to toss it in at the Winston. Can't take out Muma, though, with it.
Yeah, Effect has to leave right now.
Yeah, that's it.
Dealing some damage with snipes from the outside, but not getting that presence on the point. I think it's time to switch up on the Widowmaker. Effect will be going with the Reaper now. Interesting to see that Jake is the one playing the Tracer, not typically a hero that he's played on many of his teams previously, but manages to do some good work when it comes to cleanup.
Yeah. I like
tail end of that fight.
I like this change by Effect onto the Reaper. We've seen how good this hero can be on this point. A lot of close quarters fighting. That's where Reaper excels at. Harry Hook does manage to find the kill on Jake.
Oh, that's a huge kill on the Banny.
Harry Hook, are you suddenly a great Zenyatta player? Wow. Linkser pulls out the Dragon Blade, gets nothing with it though as Mickey protects his team. Effect down below, using those shotguns, staying alive, and Dallas Fuel resoundingly winning this team fight. Can they handle the respawns though?
There is an EMP that's going to be coming off spawn. Jake will kill Effect. The Primal Rage may be enough just to hold them out here. Chips and Harry Hook ulting simultaneously.
Another Transcendence for Chips, that's right. This control meter nearly all the way up, 87% already. Here comes Cool Matt back on the point once more, and here's where it slows down. Well, they do actually demech him very quickly, actually. Effect just goes ahead and drops a Death Blossom, and that's going to be it. So Dallas Fuel with 420 left on the clock, that was a pretty solid attack run.
Yeah, it definitely was, and that's, you can see the effectiveness of the Reaper once you get him onto the point and you get that initial pick. Thanks to Harry Hook hitting those back-to-back headshots and killing Bonnie on that Sombra, that was absolutely huge. He didn't have time to use his translocator to recall to the health pack because he was basically just one shot.
You know, the thing is with Harry Hook, you talk about this guy and you talk about his Lucio, you talk about his Soldier 76, but you know, if you talk to this team, you know, outside of the game and all that, if you talk to Harry personally, he'll be like, yeah, I'm always playing new heroes. I'm always wanting to add stuff to the pool. He just hasn't really needed to do it as much until now. And I gotta say, that was a great Zenyatta performance from him.
And Harry, even as a Lucio player, as we typically think of him in the past, even though he has flexed to Soldier 76, but this is a guy with fantastic aim and fantastic mechanics for a support player. And that's what has traditionally made one of the aspects that has made formerly Envy and now the Dallas Fuel so dangerous, because they can play triple support comps, or triple DPS comps. They can play weird combinations of heroes that most other teams can't play, which makes it very difficult to prepare and to practice for them.
Yeah, the big thing that stands out when you mentioned that is their single support they used to run back on Gibraltar Defense, where they had Harry Hook on the Soldier, and that was kind of the first of the many times we saw this team kind of expand beyond what we see from a lot of teams as far as how they use their supports. Here we go. Defense time now for Dallas Fuel as they try to stop Houston Outlaws. Of course, like I mentioned before, 4 minutes and 30 seconds left for Dallas in the time bank, which is pretty sick for Temple of Anubis. And this is the comp I have in my ladder games all the time, but not something we see in professional play very often. I think they're going to be making some changes. Yeah, there we go. Houston Outlaws with a much more normal comp as they get ready to attack.
This is interesting. Taimu is going to take a quick shot with the grappling hook. He's not playing very far back. They are going to know that Linkser will also be trying to duel this Widow. Who actually got hung up on the corner there on his leap.
Dallas being really aggressive with the defense. Effect falls early. That's a problem.
This is a huge problem now. There has to be some control from Taimu. He needs to start getting some of these kills to prevent the members of Houston from streaming straight onto the point.
Wow, they're actually getting the kills they needed. I was a little bit worried for Coolmat for the moment after he went for that chase, but it worked out, and Dallas Fuel taking this fight. Look at that, Coolmat already has the self-destruct built up. That's a really fast default.
Yeah, he's gonna get desuited.
What? I don't know,
I'm very surprised he decided to use the self-destruct there, considering that Linkser is going to be able to snipe anybody who is coming through those corridors.
Well, that's such a great ult to have on point B if you're kind of trying to keep the momentum up. So unless he's planning on changing heroes, and it doesn't look like he is, that was not the greatest ult ever.
Yeah, I think he may have thought there were going to be more people trying to contest the point and coming back in, but there weren't, and Linkser.
There it is. Revenge.
The Taimu revenge. Taimu is sticking with this, though, because now they want to go on the offensive and try and punish them for getting picked off early. Jake here with the pulse bomb wants to find an angle. He has Chips and Taimu in his sights. He's going to run up on Taimu. Looks like, okay, he's going to back off.
Tried to more or less one-clip him with the melee at the end, but couldn't quite land the headshots he was looking for. So he's going to have to pull back, like you said. Houston Outlaws, a few ults to work with right now. Dallas Fuel nearly up to 5 out of 6. So some good efficiency on defense could mean a long hold.
Hey, Taimu's staying on the Widow on defense. We so rarely see this, but this is something that Taimu will do.
I was going to say, man, this
is the most Taimu moment.
This is a very Taimu moment. Yeah, it's a personal vendetta between him and Linkser right now, so he's not swapping, except for right when I say he's not swapping, then he swaps to Reaper, but let's forget that. Let's move on, Monte Cristo.
He was really committed to that for a long time. But yes, the right move is definitely switching off that Widowmaker now.
I think the team comms came through in the end, probably. Linkser trying to back away, getting zapped to death by XQC here, and it looks like Dallas Field's going to hold for the moment. Muma, though, on the point, building a little bit of control meter, but that's going to be about that. There's a reset, and Houston back to the drawing board.
And Chips now on the Sombra, so they have retooled their composition, wanted to get a few more of those ultimates out, but this is going to leave them without a Mercy.
Okay. We do see Chips on that Sombra quite a bit on Temple of Anubis point B. He's been playing it for a long time in this position.
But when you don't have the Mercy and you don't have the power of that Valkyrie on this point, you need to make sure that that Mercy gets hacked at all times.
Oh, yeah.
When the enemy Valkyrie is up. Otherwise, you're going to be at a major disadvantage.
Speaking of major disadvantages, how about losing Harry and Chips immediately before the fight begins? That's about as bad as it gets. Houston Outlaws with a big opportunity here. XQC and Taimu both fall as well.
Chips coming in with an EMP.
That could be their moment here. Jake does get hacked, but he still does a lot of damage with that left click anyway. And now some decent control meter getting built up by Houston Outlaws.
And that's the Pharah swap is great for them because they saw the Tracer initially alongside the Reaper and they knew they were going to be able to get some free long-range damage. They have forced the switch from Taimu, but it may be too late.
Yeah, it's a bit of a brawl right now. It's all about the respawns for Dallas Fuel. If they can make it last, if they can get a couple picks each time. Primal Rage nearly running out for Muma here, but his teammates are capitalizing. Everybody got bottled into the back line, and Jake just doing tons of damage with that Pharah. Barrage comes in. Whoops. Yeah, it's hard to barrage into the Winston jumping at you, but it works out in the end anyway. 4:09 left on the clock for the Houston Outlaws, and we've got ourselves a map, Monty.
We do 4:30 to 4:09, so plenty of times, only 21 seconds separating these teams on the attack, and this is where you really like assault maps, where they get very exciting.
Yeah.
Great counterplay we saw from the Houston Outlaws, loving the switches over to the Pharah, helped them push through on that final point, and especially clutch kill right at the very end onto Chips on the Sombra. His EMP had just come up, but he never had a chance to use it.
And that's kind of an uncharacteristic thing for Chips as well, is you don't see him dying on that Sombra very often in that position, but I think it just shows great awareness by Houston of kind of guessing where he was going to be and not letting him get out.
Yeah, definitely. I think maybe we may see a few different heroes this time, at least on point B. See how long time he wants to stay on the Widowmaker. He will be playing it on the defense for now, and Linkser will be matching him on the other side.
Taimu back on the Widowmaker again, like you mentioned, and you know, if we think about point B in our very last round here, maybe Taimu's reluctance to swap off of that, and then the indecision once he did, going between the Reaper and the McCree, might have been a decently big factor in terms of how Houston was able to take that point. So I want to see a little bit more crisp decision-making on the side of Dallas on this defensive round.
Houston has had great decision-making
so
far,
they have.
though.
Yeah. Hero swap decision-making specifically.
Absolutely. Yep. All right, Jake gets taken down low early, but does get behind the corner and get healed up in time. Linkser not daring to go on the high ground right now. Taimu's been playing a low ground Widowmaker on defense for the most part.
It is interesting, and I mean, when the team tries to come in through this front pathway, that's where you're going to get most of your shots, I suppose. But for the most part, Dallas trying to stay back and avoid those Linkser shots. We're going to go in now. The dive has commenced. Linkser moving forward here.
Trying to find something, but Dallas dodging out of the line of sight.
Oh, saw Taimu. He was about to walk out, and he's like, nah, I better back out. Make sure it's safe. Gets to the high ground in the end.
A methodical approach here from Houston. They want that coverage over the point so they can finally get Linkser some room to find some shots.
Yeah. Now Linkser's in a great spot right now. He needs to be a little bit careful, but not so much if he's able to take Mickey out of the suit that easily. That worked out very well. Bonnie brought back up by point. And Linkser getting pressured now, finally taking down Taimu, finishing him off for that kill. So maybe Dallas has an opportunity here to hold the point. It looks like they'll force Houston back for now.
Yeah, in fact, got control of the low ground and swept up the members of Houston on the point. Linkser coming back with his ultimate. Use that to get a few advantageous peaks. Taimu using his as well, so they're going to know the timing of the incoming push from Houston.
Linkser holding that ultimate too until right now, until the push was ready to commence, just so they can keep an eye on the Dallas field throughout the entire attack. Looking for some shots. He knows he's going to be under pressure soon, but Effect occupied for the moment. Oh, Effect trying to come in now, and sick headshot from Linkser.
これでトレーサーやれたのいいな。あ、足でも死んだのか。
Wait the Transcendence cast.
Despite the kill on Linkser at the end, I think this is starting to look pretty decent for Houston Outlaws here. A couple more members of Dallas Fuel to deal with. Maybe they can hold it. XQC delaying for quite a while actually with that Primal Rage, but in the end, that should be the point in favor of Houston. No, as I say that, Mickey coming back in, but the thing is on point A here, you're coming through such narrow chokes that it's really hard to contest this.
Yeah, but they're still managing to stall it for a surprising amount of time, thanks to Taimu picking up the kill onto Linkser. All right. Dodging back in and out of the point. Now, this will be the end of it, however, but still, a minute and a half left before we get the 30-second addition. So, it took quite a bit of time off the clock for point A, but Taimu going down to Boink, actually.
Well, this is the danger, right? It's a delicate balance if you try to overcommit to point A, because now you have a ton of momentum coming in for Houston. Pulse Bomb goes in for Jake. And Dallas having to start out this defense short-handed in a situation where you really don't want to do that.
Wow, the Mercy pistol kill. Yeah. That's a bad way to start things off. Taimu, he's going to switch to the Reaper once again. He knows it's a similar composition to what he saw last time, and they just need to get on the point and stay alive.
EMP already, but not a lot of follow-up coming in for Dallas. It is all green in the kill feed, and Houston Outlaws are going to probably build a good amount of control meter here now that Mickey's down.
It's just so ridiculously hard to defend if you get staggered with two members down as they're approaching the point. So Jake just wants to make sure they're not going to get onto the point at all without using abilities or taking a ton of poke damage.
And that was like the world's easiest pulse bomb stick there. XQC just kind of loping by and taking a grenade to the face. Houston Outlaws handling the respawns extremely well. Another D-mech on Mickey, and Jake seems untouchable at this point. They've nearly got it.
They're going to get it eventually, Noah. Just a matter of time. How long can the stall continue here on the side of Dallas? Taimu back in the mix once again, but he is getting punched into the corner, has to use his rage.
I was going to say, if anything pushes him back, it's going to be that delay from the Primal Rage, and it looks like that may have just been enough. Yeah.
Wow, the kill onto both supports meant that there wasn't enough healing to sustain them. That was so close.
That was a close one. But, you know, the point we talked about earlier, I think, was very well proven in that if you try to keep too many people on point A there, stall it too long, you can really run into trouble on point B. But now, Houston Outlaws the ones in trouble as they really want to finish this one off. See if they can. There's the EMP again. And they capitalize on it. Jake raining death from above right now. He didn't get hit by that EMP. Taimu does take down Boink, so no mercy now for the Houston Outlaws. And Taimu comes in yet again with that death blossom. And as Jake falls, it looks like that's going to be it. So 96.4% of that point taken, but in the end they were able to hold it. It was close, but Dallas Fuel manages to defend.
Yeah, basically they have to fully complete the second point now. They will have a little bit more time than Houston did, but a big opportunity gifted to the Outlaws at the start of point B in a surprising fashion. Banny on the Mercy getting the kill onto Taimu.
That's right. So if you're Dallas Fuel, you know, you feel, even though, yeah, it's a little bit daunting to look at 90.
Absolutely, and more time bank rounds potentially.
Oh yeah, definitely. So we know the game, at least Anubis, is going to end right here on this round.
So Linkser on the Genji as they set up on defense. Mumo will be going back, of course, onto the Winston. And Banny's going to play the point A Sombra. And I have to say, I really like the point A Sombra. I didn't like the use of the EMP on point A last time, but go ahead. If you get rolled on this point, which can happen, at least you're going to be coming through with an EMP for the first defense on point B, which prevents the snowball.
True. And the nice thing with the defensive Sombra on point A is that the health pack hacking helps as more of a denial of healing to your attacking opponents than anything else.
Yeah, it's quite good. Taimu.
You need those health packs if you're attacking.
Back on the Widowmaker. Can't get the punish.
Banny nearly getting taken out. A headshot would have been much tougher to deal with.
So Linkser just looking right now, and he's going to find Jake trying to harass him in the back line. No Linkser here yet. It is Jake's job, it would appear.
XQC winning the Winston duel there. Muma may have dived in a little bit too close. Meanwhile, Mickey does take out Coolman, so everybody kind of beating their opponents at their positions right now. And there's Bonnie. Can they take him down? They can. And this is starting to look like a pretty smooth point day for Dallas Fuel.
But Bonnie got the EMP and he didn't use it. So when you don't have that Mercy, it's easier for Dallas to trade those initial kills. So when they went 1-for-1, that was big. And Taimu, the kill onto Jake, I don't think they're going to get there fast enough to capitalize on it.
Probably not, but they've certainly got a lot of time to work with here. About 4 minutes on the clock right now. Taimu trying to back away. Chips does fall though, so Buma, that dive successful, and already it looks like Dallas may need to reset here. Well, they will.
And they didn't have to use the Sombra ult either, so yeah. Spiffy defense there. They punished Dallas Fuel for walking too far forward.
Whoa, Jake goes down again. Mickey has really kind of come alive in this round specifically. I think his moves have been a lot better. He's been able to corner people better. He's an aggressive diva, and he's finally looking a little bit more intelligent in doing that this series.
And now they're rushing the point. Respawns halfway through. EMP is available, but Mickey will clear Boink off the point at the start of this fight.
It's another one. XQC coming in with a primal rage, just trying to push everybody back, give Houston a little bit less of an opportunity to stop that control meter from building. In fact, gets the kill on Coolmat though. And it looks like maybe Houston will be able to send it back. That's an interesting self-destruct. Can he live to remech though? He can with the Transcendence coming in from Harry Hook. And Linkser not getting anything done with the Dragon Blade at all.
Through the Transcendence, it wasn't going to work, and he wasn't facing the right direction. In line of sight of Taimu with no reflect.
It is all Dallas right now. And in fact, again, so good on this point before, just popping Death Blossom after the reflect was down for Linkser, and that is going to be Dallas Fuel taking Temple of Anubis. It's Dallas. Dallas, guys. Dallas. There we go. Hey, you know, LA is LA, Texas is Texas. We're all just one big happy Overwatch family. That's what we're saying here. It's a message of togetherness, right?
Certainly is, especially for a team like Dallas. Might as well call them the Dallas United Nations for how many countries are represented on this one team.
That's very true. And in the end, parity and score as well, as each team has taken a map so far. As you can see, Dallas Fuel, Houston Outlaws, 1-1. I think we're going to take a quick break, guys. And when we come back, halftime between this Texas showdown. We'll see you then.
でまたメンバーチェンジで違うタンクが出てくるんです。 DPS はお話してたんですけど。これやばいよ。
we are back. Welcome to halftime live from the Blizzard Arena. What a match we have on our hands with Dallas Fuel and the Houston Outlaws all tied up 1 apiece. But before we get to our experts, Hex and Uber, I want to hear from a former analyst, now the GM of the Houston Outlaws. We have Zoe on the floor with Flame.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, Flame, thanks so much for joining me. You guys looked super dominant on that first map. Maybe break it down a little bit. Why do you think it worked out so well for them?
I mean, Linkster, man, I don't know, he popped off. The whole team played really well. I'm super proud. That was very impressive, I think. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. We came into this like it's our first match as a team, and they come in with that big of a showing. It was actually incredible.
All right. So looking at the community and the general perception of the lineups, the teams, what was the feedback so far about the Houston Outlaws?
We had no chance. I mean, that's to put it lightly. Nobody saw us even competing, and I think that we obviously showed that we can.
What do you see the biggest strength of your opponents at the moment?
I mean, they have so many. I mean, this team has been together for so long, this Dallas squad. There's really no stopping them. I think they have all of the pieces. They have the big names. They have the results. But there's something nice about having a new team, like just coming together and being like, this is our first time. There's like that momentum you get, and like that. I think it's a different level of hype for us that maybe they don't have anymore because they're more experienced and they've done this. They've been through this before.
So you've been the one who really put together the Houston Outlaws. Can you maybe walk us through the process? Like, why did you pick up these players? Yeah, big question, I know, right?
I mean, they're great. I just really like their personalities, and I like how they all play together. I think that everyone knows their role. They know what they're here for. They understand the game really well, and there's just a lot of really big brains on the team.
All right. So going into the next map, are we going to see some subs? And also, like when we're talking about subbing, who's making those decisions?
For today, it was premeditated. Like, we knew what we wanted to do on each map, so we had different rosters set already. But we're definitely going to see more subs. Everyone's going to get to play today. Everyone that's here, that is. And yeah, I mean, it's something that I think it's just, we knew what we wanted. This is what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to do it. There's not a lot of on the fly today.
Well, thank you so much. No, that was great. You did great. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Flame from the Houston Outlaws. We're going to see you again soon, I hope. Thanks a lot for joining, and we're heading back to the desk.
All right, thank you so much, Flame, for joining the show. He said before the interview, you know, I don't want to give away any secrets. It's just the preseason. So I have to ask you here, should we read this as face value? Is Houston Outlaws on the same level as Dallas Fuel right now, Uber?
Oh, I think if you want to try and draw a comparison from a mechanical perspective, then yes, but I don't even necessarily think that's like a running on all cylinders sort of setup there. We haven't seen Clockwork yet, for example, who is an incredible Tracer player, and in my opinion, probably the main Tracer for this team. So we haven't seen their final form yet, and you could definitely say the same of Dallas here. So I would take it with, as Monty put it, a very big grain of salt.
All right, now, Hex, we have a ton of replays, so we're just going to jump right into it. We're going with game number 1, and coming into this matchup, we all talked about it at the desk. The battle we want to see is between the 2 Widow players, and basically all the heroes these DPS stars can run. Taimu versus Linkser, and game 1, Dorado. It seemed like Linkser was getting the better of him.
Well, it seemed that way, and especially when the Widow v Widow, and of course it's not going to show up in the numbers. By the numbers, Taimu eliminated Linkser 8 times, whereas Linkser only got this 1 kill on him. However, I blame Cool Matt for that because he kill stole a couple of those where Linkser popped out, hit him in the head with some of those headshots. This is a battle that's been going on for a very long time, although these 2 players haven't played each other for, I think me and Mitch were talking 18 months or something back.
It would have been Creation Esports versus Envy at some random online cup, I think.
At some King of the Hill event or something along those lines. But this is where Linkser finds him around the corner. He's getting the better of this Widow battle. Matt comes in and steals the glory, not once, but this happens yet again later. So this is something I expected Linkser to win the Widow v Widow battle. He did a couple times with Taimu, more than held his own.
And I think Flame going to be pretty happy about Cool Matt getting involved in stealing the kills. Already so much chemistry shown from the tanks and the DPS and even the supports here from the Houston Outlaws.
Linkser died 6 times on this map. Taimu died 14 times on Dorado. So Linkser's hanging around for much longer and making much more of an impact in the grand scheme.
And one of those issues may be the amount of time the Mercy was up for Dallas Fuel. We actually made a little bit of a montage here for Chips because he was having such a rough time. Chips, historically strong support player. We've seen him in the past. We've seen his Ana. Today on Mercy, he was just getting brutalized on Dorado.
Yeah, but like, you tell me how many of these he could have avoided. Like, not many. He's trying to keep his support alive. He's going to get crunched when he's inside the room. He just got stuck with a pulse bomb. He's getting dove on. He's getting jumped on. one of the best support players in the world, but it just doesn't matter when the rest of your team is so taxed with trying to keep themselves alive and do damage. So, you know, yes, you can press F to pay your respects here, but none of this is his fault. It's just a very, very rough first map. I mean, Chips dies 10 times. His opposite number, Boink, dies only 4. So there's a lot more pressure on the Dallas Fuel's Mercy in that matchup.
Houston just all over him. Now, our final clip here is about Muma. We talked about the DPSs. We talked about the supports. Here is a look at our tank, and he got a nasty 4K Hex.
Everyone talks about Muma now, and what I've heard is a lot of teams really wanted Muma. He ended up choosing Houston here. He's just going to be on the closeout. Eventually, he pops out his Primal Rage towards the end of this point and will knock everyone around. But the tank line is what Houston wanted first. It's what they recruited first. You see Matt, I always can call him Johnny on the spot. You never know where he's coming from, but he's always in the right position. And then Muma will call, this fight's not over, I'm going to carry it, and he did it a couple times.
All right, let's move on forward to Anubis, because we have to talk about how Dallas got their win. We're going to show some plays, though, from Jake, and as we take a look at Jake's gameplay, I want to ask you, how does he fit into the team with the rest of the DPSs? Because you have Linkser, you have Jake, you have Clockwork, and eventually we're going to see Mendo in the lineup as well, Uber.
I still think Jake's in a stage where he can write his own job description for the Houston Outlaws. There are a lot of roles that he is proficient in. It was a new flavor to see him play that Tracer, though. I would say that's probably the least prolific of his DPS picks that we've ever seen. And, you know, for what it's worth, he did a good job. The guy's going up against Effect on Tracer, by the way, so that's definitely a baptism of fire here on the Overwatch League preseason stage.
His Tracer was poor in one half and then very good on this last half. But the good thing for Jake is that when something's not working out for him, he just goes to another hero and he just finds a way on there. He's always been one of those, he's in the top 10 on every hero, but he's never like the best of any hero, and I think that's still valuable.
And importantly as well, timing recovers in that second map in Anubis. He's performing very well. Effect had an incredible opening on that first attack for Dallas. In the first fight, 5 final blows from Effect and 40% of the overall team damage. So we're not spending a lot of time watching him. We spent time watching Widowmakers a little bit and then a little bit of Jake, but Effect is doing huge work off camera. So keep an eye on the kill feed as well. We'll try and keep you up to date with what he's been doing.
And I do want you to keep your eyes on this guy. At any moment, he can just turn into super beast mode. Taimu, we have some Widow plays here as he's going up against Linkser once again, but it was the Reaper.
I mean, trying to throw the eye needed with some of those shots here, but that Reaper was fantastic. But, I mean, Hex, you know what it's like when there's a Reaper sat on the point and you've got to try and defend and get him off. You never really want to have to walk up to a Reaper and face him.
I really liked actually what Taimu did on his defensive Reaper because he was getting shut down and pushed into the corner by Jake on that great offensive Tracer, and he came around the backside here. On the back, he finds Boink, and then he finds Linkser. They don't see him coming, but he was getting zoned out completely. Taimu's got the game sense to know it's not going to work. I'm getting shut down over here, rotates all the way around, waits for his team to open it up, and they didn't see the Death Blossom coming.
Final question for you, Hex. We've seen a lot of the DPS players. I have to ask about the new additions here for the Dallas Fuel, XQC and Custa rather. How are they playing so far?
Well, I don't think we've seen Custa yet, but I think he's about to come in. XQC is always going to play the Winston for this team. I'm really looking forward to Custa. I watch his stream a lot. I had the pleasure of meeting him at DreamHack about a year ago. Very vocal. I think he was the missing piece just as far as the vocals and the mentality and energy he brings to a team.
I just want more XQC. That's all I need in my life, to be honest. It's good to have now that really aggressive Winston where Coco's a little bit more, I guess, likes to play a little bit slower and he's a little bit more focused on peeling. XQC, if there's someone who's going to shut down like a Linkser on a Widow, he would be the man to get in the face of the enemy and disrupt them.
Send out the Angry Ape, XQC. That's how you shut down Linkser. We'll see if he can get the job done. Game number 3 coming your way right now. No commercial break. Let's send it back to our casters. We got Doa with Monte Cristo.
So we don't need a break. We're ready to go. We were ready to go the minute that last map ended, especially because Dallas Fuel and Houston Outlaws, they are tied up right now. This is a great series we've got going. Let's check out the subs going into our next map. Dallas first. Let's see who it is. It's Seagull coming in, subbing in for XQC. And this is one of those specialists we talked about. Meanwhile, on the other side, Custa coming in, fulfilling Mitch's wishes. Mitch's wishes. I'm surprised I got that one out, actually, on the support position. Meanwhile, on the Houston Outlaws, 2 more subs for them as well. Clockwork coming in for Jake. And we also have, as the other sub, the one and only Ruckus coming in to replace Bonnie at support again. So I think we've got great rosters on both sides. And it's going to be an exciting map because we're moving into our control map, Monte Cristo. And if this is going to be one of those maps that you want XQC on, I think it's going to be this one. But they're going with Seagull instead. You think it's because of the Pharah?
I think it's definitely because of the Pharah. The question is why they would not take out Taimu in this instance, because they are playing with a single tank, it would appear.
That's
and
what
a triple
I'm wondering
DPS. So
about.
there's going to be some shenanigans here from the Dallas Fuel. They must have a very specific strategy coming in for Oasis. And on the other side, we get to see Linkser presumably play Pharah at some point in time, especially if we go to Gardens, and Clockwork on the Tracer does make sense. I also find it interesting that they kept a hold of Boink because he's primarily a Lucio player, and Lucio more often seen on Control.
That's right. Well, let's check out the map list one more time. We already been talking about it for a little while, but there is Oasis as our Control map coming up, and then Eichenwald will be the hybrid map that we end the series with. Dorado and Anubis already down one map apiece for each team.
One much closer than the other one. Anubis a much closer affair than we saw.
I would say so.
Houston dominating on Dorado.
Yeah, that's right. So I am really, really intrigued by what we might see on Oasis here. We've been teasing a little bit, but having Seagull in there instead, having supposedly Mickey as their only tank is going to be interesting. But, you know, we know there's some other options in there, right? We know Seagull can play the Zarya. We know Taimu can play the Roadhog. He had some amazing games on Roadhog over in Korea and Apex, among other tournaments. So they've got some options. I think this is where we're going to see Dallas get really flexible.
Yeah, they do have two Zarya players. It's Effect and Seagull. Both have shown up on Zarya in the past. But this point, I think that we're going to be starting on is University. And this is probably going to be the worst point for Dallas to run a triple DPS. Because it's going to force them to use a main tank. Mostly Reinhardt is what we would see.
Which, when you're talking about needing a Reinhardt, you're definitely going to want XQC or Coco in there. So it's a little bit surprising. Here we go. It looks like maybe Mickey will be playing the Reinhardt. I don't know. You know, people like to mess with you in the lobby, right? People like to change heroes at the last second. But we're definitely going to see something interesting. Is it actually going to be, okay, all right, Orisa Roadhog, that makes sense. That's a great tank combo, and that's what they're going to go with. All right.
On the other side, too, Muma playing the Orisa. However, they will stick with the Diva. Linkser on the McCree. So double hit scan for the Houston Outlaws. I have to say, I like Junkrat on this map generally better, but this could be a tool to contain Effect and prevent him from getting any kind of long flanks, but they're going to have a hard time walking up on the flank.
Whoa, Linkser just walks up on the flank. Nobody saw him, and he gets that easy kill. Good start for Houston Outlaws coming in. Chips has to bring Seagull back up early, but Houston, the ones who are going to get the control percent building first.
Taimu does manage to land a headshot onto Clockwork, but it's not enough damage for them to start to push back onto this point. They do have to regroup on the far side.
You know, the idea with this tank pairing of Roadhog and Orisa is that you use the right click on Orisa, the halt, to grab people and pull them in and hold them in place for that split second to make a Roadhog hook for Taimu really easy to hit. You got to get in position to do that. First, Custa winning the Zen duel against Raucus, actually. Good start for Dallas. But as soon as I say that, Linkser takes down Effect, and Raucus brought right back up again by the Mercy Res.
Seagull trying to get some damage down, but again, Linkser managing to find Effect, and that's the flanking pressure gone, and it's very hard for them to make room onto the point. Houston convincing here on University.
Linkser's been just an absolute star in this McCree right now. He's been handling the Tracer very easily. Chips with the aggressive Mercy reset, I guess you could say there. Clockwork taking him down, but it's all about Linkser right now for the Houston Outlaws, and I think Dallas needs to make some adjusting. They need to find a way to handle this. If this push with all the ults they have going for them doesn't work, it's time to make some changes.
Mickey has only done 212 damage on the Orisa. You see, Muma already has the supercharger, so he seems quite uncomfortable on this pick.
Yeah, it's not working out for him so far, at least. Seagull taken down by the Raucus right click. Chips brings him back up again, but already a rough start for Dallas. Effect uses a Deadeye, but doesn't find anything with it, so 3 ults remaining for Dallas Fuel. They're going to try to send in the Riptire. Seagull's been pretty good with this ult in the past. Let's see if he can claim some victims here. Going in from the side, trying to be tricky. Coming in, he does find Raucus. The res comes in immediately, but this is Dallas's moment. They're going to try to come in, but no, it's not going to work out. Coolmat finding Taimu already with that self-destruct. And even though Taimu is coming back up again, they've got the Valkyrie. Can they win the fight? Maybe. Linkser finally goes down. I think that may be the go button. There we go. Yeah, effect on the McCree now, making a little bit more of a difference here. But it's already 99% for Houston Outlaws.
Yeah, it's still going to be tricky for them to come out with this game win if you're a Dallas Fuel. I think they got a bit of a break there from Effect cleaning up that towards the end. Looking for a hook, not going to find Muma. The only one pulled out of cover, and he does have that shield to deploy in the choke point. Slow push coming back for Houston.
Yeah, that's right. Coming into the supercharger now, it doesn't last very long. Mickey loses it almost immediately, and Houston just kind of pushing Dallas off the point. I mean, there's really nothing more you can say. They just walked in, and man, the desk, I think, made such a great point, talking about how Chip Cyan was dying so many times in those first couple maps, and if you look at that round, that was another rough one for him on Mercy. Houston Outlaws, I think, right from the get-go, had firm control over University.
That said, though, I think with the players that we've seen substituted in, that was the worst possible starting point for Dallas Fuel.
Sure.
And I think that they intend to run, these players will run more friendly compositions to their styles on the following 2 points of Oasis. And we still, of course, have to get a glimpse at Linkzr's Pharah. He's been fantastic today.
Yeah. Looks like we're going to go to Gardens next year. And so far, Dallas still staying on that Junkrat for Seagull, no Pharah. And it is very rare that you don't see a Pharah from both teams on this map. Dallas Fuel playing with fire, but if they can get the hooks from Taimu, you know, if they can maybe finish off the Pharah with that halt hook combination, I mean, who's get something done, but
who's going to kill this Pharah and Mercy?
Oh, that's the plan, right? They're going to use a combo, but you can tell by the tone of my voice, Monty, I have some doubts.
Some Junkrat players are skilled enough to jump in the air and mine the Mercy, but that is tough to pull off consistently.
I mean, Kumak got demeched already, so nice start, but then Effect falls. Linkzr finding a kill early on as Dallas tries to come in here.
Ocasio has to be so careful about that.
Yeah, seriously, he was like one rocket from death. Easy.
So getting bounced around, no pressure onto Linkzr so far, and even if he's not the world's best Pharah player, he certainly has a lot of space to maneuver.
Well, Effect wins the Tracer v Tracer against Clockwork, and right now Dallas just trying to control the point and get the picks from that corner protected by the Orisa shield, but the picks haven't come in fast enough, and Houston has been able to replace things. Now things are changing a little bit. Effect finally finding that pulse bomb. Oh, they gotta keep Taimu up. He's gonna take a breather to save himself, and Linkzr, his teammates falling around him. Yeah, he's just gonna go in and reset. It looks like Raucus will join him and take the death taxi back to spawn.
And even though a lot of those rockets were relatively freely landing, Mickey was dealing with a lot of it with the Orisa barrier, and Taimu was healing up. And you'll notice that the supports were getting a lot more ult charge from healing. Chips and Custa both with their ultimates up already, ahead by about 20% on the Outlaws supports. Sometimes if you land too many of those rockets into the thick of things but don't finish off those kills, you just end up handing support ults over.
I mean, you can see the positional thing that they've decided with Dallas. Just, again, staying in that corner. It's working out so far, so good. Taimu pops a whole hog just to push Houston back again. So they're going to hold on to the payload for a little bit longer, at least.
Strategy appears simply to ignore Linkzr's Pharah and force them to try and come down to the point. It is working thus far, but they did have to use both support ultimates in that last fight. Houston will be rejoining with a Valkyrie and a sound barrier, and this is the push that should be successful.
And you can see from our overhead map, I mean, just how different the approaches are from each of these teams. That corner controlled by Dallas, and now Houston trying to dive deep. They're trying to have to adapt to find a way to take this down. They're using Muma's Primal Rage to get in there and scatter Dallas. See if they can get a little bit more. The supercharger for Mickey not lasting very long. Oh, Seagull gets 2 with the proximity mine.
Well, they came around that corner into a narrow choke point, and the mine is the finishing blow they needed, but it's still not going to be enough. The Valkyrie able to be used by Houston and follow up on the sound barrier that they popped on their first attack.
So the push worked. They were able to break that hard point that Dallas Fuel had set up and flip the point, but a good start for Dallas. 81% Tracer duel between Effect and Clockwork. Looks like they're going to disengage now. Nobody wanting to die and stagger those respawns at the moment.
Seagull with the Riptire may be able to clear Linkzr out of the sky, and Fuel coming right back into a better position. That fight took so long that 80% of the point already going over to Dallas, so they delayed it, despite the fact that they only had the supercharger. They delayed it for quite a long time.
Here we go, it's tire time. Seagull was able to find something last time, going way around the outside. Time, meanwhile, does get the kill on the Linkser, and there goes Raucus. Seagull finding him, and he D-Max Cool Mat as well. That is about the best thing you can hope for from that tire. They're going to set right back up in the corner again. And this composition is all about finding the picks. You find the picks, you set up a point that's hard for your opponent to attack, and you take it. And it's worked great for Dallas. I love the strategy.
Yeah, it surprisingly has the ignore the Pharah strategy, except with ripped tires.
Well, it's great because it's kind of, I feel like it's the first new thing I've seen on Gardens in quite a while, honestly.
Yeah, it is. It's certainly unique, and this is what we expect from this Dallas team.
Yeah. Time with the whole hog again, and he's going to use that Transcendence to be aggressive with it. Effect D-Max Cool Mat, as you can see from the kill feed, and Taimu just pushing the Outlaws back one more time. We are in OT. Dallas trying to tie up Oasis here. We'll see if they can do it.
Taimu is going to be able to find these picks pretty easily. Does get bounced around them. Just in time manages to take a breather. No more healing. Nobody can get close to him, but Effect will take out Clockwork and D-Mac Cool Mat at the same time with the Pulse Bomb.
Well, Chips finally stays alive on that Mercy, able to bring Taimu right back up again. They needed him to get that Valkyrie off, and it looks like it's working okay. Lynx are one of the last people remaining here. Clockwork takes on Taimu again, though, and so Houston Outlaws trying to grind out this win.
Raucus has the Valkyrie, so they are going to get some resurrection.
There we go.
Doesn't prevent the effect from getting both of them, though. Raucus and Lynx are falling.
It's the effect, man. Taking out the entire pharmacy, and now just trying to finish off Cool Mat. He put the Pulse Bomb on the mech, even though it was ending, so he could guarantee the kill on the Pilot Diva. Good finish there for Dallas Fuel, and we are all tied up here on Oasis.
And that's what I thought, though. I thought they definitely were using these players for a different point that wasn't University. Does work out well in that circumstance. I think we're just going to see it again. Why not?
Well, you wonder how that's going to work on City Center. I mean, in Gardens, you do have that corner that you can really set up in. You're not going to get flanked. You know where everybody's coming from. City Center, though, there's a lot of paths to go around. So if they are going to try it again, I would imagine maybe they're going to try it in the middle, perhaps? Set up shields that way. But if they're going to do the same thing, they're going to... I'm curious to see what spot they're going to choose for it.
Well, Junkrat has an easy time getting to the high ground of this map, so it is easier for the Junkrat to deal with a Pharah.
True. Looks like they're going to go for it. All right, yeah, going way around to the left side here. They've got a plan, clearly. They're going to try to set it up on the stairway, it looks like, maybe.
They should be attempting to win the barrier wars.
Yeah.
Muma is on the Winston this time, so no Orisa versus Orisa duels. Taimu manages to pull him in.
Oh, taking out Muma early is great. I mean, to get rid of that tank and get rid of him in a spot where Mercy can't res him is pretty huge.
Clockwork needs to be careful. Does get mined, but doesn't quite get finished off. Cool Mat now running away, but the D-Max suit. That'll be a stagger. So first capture goes over to Dallas Fuel. They turned their attention to the Pharah last. Lynx are trying to stay alive, getting hit from some long-range buckshot.
Yeah. Effect does go down. There's a little style hook in the end there. He's going to be happy to find whoever he can at that point. Taking out the Pilot Diva does feel good. Effect res by Chips. And Dallas Fuel, yeah, they're more easily flankable on this point than they are in Gardens. But Taimu's really been hitting the right hooks. He's been hitting the right clicks as well, which is big against the Pharah. So far, so good. Whoa, there's a hook. Taimu, man, you know, he was such a great Roadhog for such a long time. It's cool to see him get an opportunity to play this hero again.
Yeah, and that's a great strategy. I mean, the Mercy can't follow you in if the Pharah is getting pulled into the team.
Oh, that was overkill a little bit. He already had the Pulse Bomb on him. He was already dead, man. That just hurts. Just really wanted that one, I guess.
All right, Whole Hog can be used for a stall to prevent them from getting to the point and touching it.
Sure enough. Already near 60% for Dallas Fuel. And Linkster uses that barrage, takes down Taimu, but Taimu does manage to get the equalizing kill on Muma. And here comes the tire again. Seagull looking for victims, and he finds Clockwork. You know, you want to find the pharmacy in this case, but anything really will do.
And they're not actually going to take the point off of it either. Nope. Rock is trying to get in, barely misses the mine, but for the Pulse Bomb, but Cool Mat can't survive it.
Seagull's Junkrat is so good. We've known that since beta, basically, but it's cool to see it come out in a pro match like this. Chips Iron manages to bring Seagull back after he goes down. Mickey holding strong. He's got the supercharger now if they need to use it. Good to hold on to it for the moment. And again, you know, Linkzer's Pharah has been shut down by virtue of it being either A, ignored, or B, plucked out of the sky by Taimu.
Well, it doesn't work.
Or killed by effect.
Or killed by effect. That has happened many times. Another pulse bomb just to make sure Coolmat goes down.
Yep.
Coolmat is one of the most dangerous mini diva players in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Ensuring that he doesn't even have that opportunity is a way to win. And Dallas dominates the second 2 points of Oasis.
Man, just a great creative strategy coming in here and showing us something totally different than we would have ever expected to come out from this team. And I think where things on Dorado looked a little bit rough starting off, things are really firing on all cylinders now.
But this is why it's so annoying to play against Dallas, is because they will bring strategies that you have never seen before, and they are well accustomed to playing against traditional comps.
That's right, so let's go do a quick break and then come back with map 4 between Dallas and Houston. Don't go anywhere, guys. This is the Overwatch League preseason. Welcome back, guys, to a Texas showdown. Houston Outlaws taking on Dallas Fuel, and right now, Dallas in the lead, 2-1, but we've got quite a few subs coming in for both of these teams. 3 for Houston, 2 for Dallas. We're going to start things off with the Houston subs and see who they're deciding to swap out. Got a lot of options.
Yeah, many options for both of these rosters. And
that's right. Oh, hey, Mickey.
Hi, Mickey.
You're not Spree or Cool Man. What do you know? Well, there's Mickey. I could watch Mickey all day, though. He is such a happy person.
He's adorable. And
right.
Spree coming in makes you think they want to run a Zarya based on his history. The two phase players, Spree and Raucus, who joined the Houston Outlaws, and he will be subbing in for Cool Matt. So that is an extremely good indication that there is not going to be a diva.
That's right, and Jake back in once again, replacing Linkzer for the final map in this 4-map set. Unless Houston wins it, then we get to go that tiebreaker. And meanwhile, Bonnie, he's going to come in for Boink.
And that probably means we're not going to see a Lucio. So Bani will most likely be taking up the Mercy duties while Raucus goes on the Zenyatta.
That's right. Meanwhile, over on the Dallas Fuel side, Coco back in again, subbing in for Seagull.
They decided they wanted a main tank this time.
I guess so, yeah. Eichenwald, I think I'd be happy with a Reinhardt main there. And then Harry Hook coming back in again, subbing in for Custa. So the classic roster in once again for Dallas, a.k.a. formerly Envious.
And we've always loved to watch the pairing of Coco and Mickey on this map. The Reinhardt Diva combinations that we've seen them execute in the past have been very strong. A lot of Earthshatter is setting up into self-destruct, and that synergy's really worked out well on this map in particular.
That's right. So let's check out our maps that we've seen so far in this series. It's been 3 out of 4 maps at this point. We're about to go into our hybrid map. Eichenwald, as you can see on the screen right now. Dorado went the Houston Outlaws way. Then Anubis, it was all Dallas in that pretty close 4-3 victory. Oasis, though, maybe not quite as close. Round 1 looked good for Houston, but then we saw why Dallas made the subs they did. Really creative strategy on that map. My highlight of the preseason so far. That was so much fun to watch, and it really worked well for Dallas.
Yeah, bringing out very strange non-Pharah comps on the 2 traditional Pharah points, and it didn't look like Houston knew how to adapt to it efficiently. So now we're on Eichenwald, a map that has been a great one for this roster in previous tournaments.
Oh yeah, and I mean the thing is, you mentioned that that combo pairing between Coco and Mickey, and they did a lot of great stuff. You mentioned the Earthshatter into the self-destruct, but one of my favorite things they used to do was Coco would get very good at having Mickey start the self-destruct, and then Coco would charge the enemy Reinhardt to get the shield down, and then Mickey would get like 3Ks, 4Ks every single time. So yeah, if you're playing this roster on this map, you really got to be careful of where that Reinhardt's going.
You absolutely do, and as we head into this game, it may actually be Spree playing a Diva on the defense. It's not that he can't play the Diva, but he is known as that Zarya specialist, and Cool Matt is pretty much considered the best Diva in North America unanimously.
Sure enough. Well, it is time, guys. Dallas Fuel on the attack, Houston Outlaws on the defense in this last map, potentially of this series between our 2 Texas teams. If Houston Outlaws wins, we'll go to that tiebreaker map on Lijiang Tower. But coming into this one, you gotta say, Dallas certainly has some momentum.
Jake, I'm glad we have a chance to see his Junkrat because he performed spectacularly on that hero at the Overwatch World Cup.
Yeah.
And now he's back on it again. Will be composition trying to spam through this choke point, but Muma not going to be opting for the Reinhardt here. Coco, of course, will be playing that Reinhardt, and you know, surprise, surprise, I guess it's going to be Mickey on the Zarya. Taimu.
I am surprised by that.
Switching over.
Okay, yeah, I'm not surprised that he switched to that. There we go.
Well, this is going to be an interesting. Can he get a pick? No. They see the Widowmaker immediately and dodge behind, and that's it. It's game over for the Widow.
Just running for cover. They're like, oh no. And for good reason, man. Taimu finds those shots. And so Dallas going to just walk right in there behind the Reinhardt shield. Have to worry about Jake on that high ground behind, but now Jake has to worry about getting back on the points. Clockwork taken out early. Coco making his presence felt. Pretty good charge onto the point already for Dallas Fuel. Can they keep it up here?
Jake is down on the low ground now, and that was that was just easy.
Wow.
You can't just let them walk through the point right there. Jake was standing on top of the choke point, but the pivot quick from Dallas Fuel around the far side, and Jake had to try and re-engage. They just ignored the Junkrat and made for an extremely awkward defense from the Houston Outlaws.
Well, you see Taimu swapping over to the McCree already, and they did a fantastic job. Ooh, hello. Interesting. Dallas doing a fantastic job of using the pressure that Taimu created by popping up on the Widowmaker to then moving the Reinhardt in.
Yeah.
Everyone was out of position on the Houston side. That was just a beautifully executed attack.
Yeah, what we've come to expect from them. Mickey will not lose his Diva suit as he goes into the hands of his Mercy.
Yep.
They a little bit delayed there. Now they can start to work forward. Coco will be taking the Winston on point B. We need quicker control of that low ground.
True enough. Payload is moving here. Jake getting very close to that rip tire. He's got it now. And yeah, he's going to use it immediately. This is a good place to try to drop it down onto people. Looks like Muma's going to come in and disrupt. Try to make things a bit easier to find that good tire. Oh, they force a Transcendence out of Harry Hook. He's going to pop that, but it doesn't save Chips. That's the thing, is like, yeah, Transcendence will save Zen, but it's kind of like, all right, good luck. Well, everybody else, you're dead in the tire.
It was the mind game, though.
Yeah.
He thought he was going to trigger it. Jake was not baited in, and instead, losing the Transcendence is actually going to be much more impactful on the side of Dallas Fuel. But that's if Effect doesn't just go crazy and kill absolutely everybody.
It's okay. You know, as a Zenyatta main, though, I'm totally fine with ulting to save myself and letting the Mercy die. I am totally okay with that. I'm on board with Harry Hook here.
Only the strong survive in Doa's support world.
That's right. Survival of the fittest, or most robotic in this case. Works out.
Zoning Deadeye just to get a few more meters onto the card. Muma will deal with Harry Hook, and now they're going to be able to come all the way back around. Benny has the Valkyrie if he needs to use it. He might have to walk up to get some of these reses. Jake also will not survive the 6-shooter from Taimu.
Oh, Taimu not able to finish off the Mercy because of that D.Va defense matrix. Finally goes down here. Houston Outlaws kind of scrambling for some sort of purchase on the payload, and looks like they've got it for the moment.
I think you're going to be reset. You're going to be happy with that. You lost a pick immediately, and you still managed to force Banny to use the Valkyrie in the end. You're coming back with a Valkyrie of your own. So, and they also nearly pushed the payload to completion just from that Deadeye.
Yep.
Great positioning from the Dallas Fuel. Made a losing fight slightly less painful for them by draining ultimates out of the opposition.
They got to worry about that Riptire coming in now. Jake hunting for victims. He's going to find Taimu. Probably going to see a res coming in for Chips here. Yep.
Valkyrie immediately. Muma will go to effect, and Mickey will just calmly push the point.
Okay.
Well,
sometimes D.Va can be very sneaky.
Nobody expects the stealth D.Va.
That's right. That's absolutely true. Taimu fighting for his life here, gets a little bit of resing, but he's got to deal with clockwork. Not working out as Jake comes in and inserts himself into that sacred duel. You just got to let people fight it out, you know?
It's all right if you're Dallas Fuel. Actually, Coco looks like he might still be in there. Deep on the other team. Does die to Muma, who has swapped over to the Orisa to provide some static defenses for this point. They're going to charge up Effect, who does go onto the Zarya. He is the best Zarya player on this team.
Absolutely. Putting the shield onto Chips just to get himself charged up. Over 80% right now. Transcendence coming in. They have to worry a little bit about the self-destruct. Raucus goes in to use that to try to keep Houston alive. That payload is moving, though. Here comes a Riptire again from Jake. Gotta watch out for that. Clockwork falls to Mickey. Mickey D-mech, though, by that Riptire. Jake's not done yet. Takes out Pilot D.Va. But he needs a bit more. Looks like it's going to be enough for now, actually.
Effect got a lot of charge towards the Graviton, and that's the danger. You have the Graviton and you have the Earth Shatter as they come into this final assault. A team wipe can't happen. He is supercharged on the Zarya.
Yeah, that is a lot of damage coming out of Effect right now. Was able to get the shield onto Coco's Reinhardt to take all that fire and turn it into damage, but he's going to have to let a bit of that get away, though, as Houston manages to push Dallas back again.
Yeah, luckily he's not going to lose a lot of that charge because he didn't die, so manages to dodge his way around and going to bubble himself, but nobody there firing at him. They've been coordinating well around the bubbles to make sure he maintains that high charge rate. Graviton is up now, so is the Valkyrie, and they're going to go in.
Yeah, that's right. We'll see if they maybe try to pair this with Taimu's Riptire that's coming up soon. You got some options. You just don't want it eaten by the D.Va. That's the big thing.
Got to D-mech that D.Va first, so that's where Mickey comes in. He's going to try and dodge in and get the damage.
Oh boy! This could be big, you know, not a big amount of follow-up. I thought they had that tire ready to go, but Taimu not able to really make it happen here. They're just going to try to brute force it now with Harry Hook's Transcendence. Jake does get a couple, though, with his Riptire, and it is a brawl, but the respawns are definitely in favor of the Houston Outlaws right now.
Yeah, Raucus with the last-second Transcendence in the grab to mitigate the damage. Mickey low. Mickey will lose his suit and his life. Everybody on Dallas must back off.
Yeah, it looked like a one fight initially for Dallas Fuel, but it wasn't enough of a one-sided win to prevent those respawns from kind of pushing them back eventually.
They may have over-pushed it too, considering they used the Zenyatta and the Mercy ults. In fact, still sitting pretty at 100% charge. Yeah. But he's not actually charging his ultimate as fast as he would like because there's been so much absorbed by these Orisa barriers.
Muma on the run right now. He could be in a little bit of trouble. He's got the Mercy heal, though.
Yeah, that
gonna be okay
shatter
now.
is not good.
Ooh, Coco went down, and they cannot afford to lose that Reinhardt. Yeah, that's going to be another reset. They've got a little over a minute left for Dallas, so you've got one, maybe two good pushes out of this.
Coco tried to get an Earth Shatter, but Muma dropped the barrier in the nick of time and wasn't actually able to get as much crowd control that they needed in order to finish the fight. Coco, as a result, will switch over to the Orisa himself.
All right, let's check out Clockwork on that McCree, of course, known for that hero as well. Yeah, it works. Nice flashbang.
And he's on fire.
He's on fire. That's true. All right, Clockwork coming back in. They've got a lot of ults on Houston to stretch this out. If they can be efficient with
that's
it.
Huge kill on the Taimu.
That certainly helps a lot. Jake falls as well. Spree gets the self-destruct onto Chips, and that's the moment where Dallas is like, all right, this one's not going to work. I think they may have to reset quickly here. Coco trying to come in. Oh, on the Orisa, now the stagger in favor of Houston Outlaws. They've got the ults. They've got the time advantage, too. It is going to be nearly impossible for Dallas to finish this. They have got to have the perfect fight.
Especially because the grab just isn't going to help them right now, especially as Mickey goes down.
And High Noon, no kills out of that one. Chips brings Mickey back again. They've got the Diva Suit, now the Transcendence for Harry Hook one more time. Clockwork waiting, playing it patiently. Nice kill onto Taimu there. And Houston Outlaws again, being methodical, being patient, and they may have this one. We're into overtime, and Mickey's not going to do too much. That should be about it as they take down Effect. And OT ticks away. Houston Outlaws, they put themselves in such a good position to hold that in the end.
Yeah, they did, and there was almost no hope for Dallas in that last fight. Okay, even if you hit a huge Graviton, Raucus will have an opportunity to get the Transcendence again. So much has to go right for you. If Raucus dies instantly, maybe you have a shot right there, but Spree also easily able, if he is in the right position, to go ahead and eat the Graviton with the defensive matrix. So it was an uphill battle. Dallas couldn't pull it off, but it would have been pretty spectacular had they done so.
I think the big problem for that last couple pushes began where they really tried to force their way in using the Transcendence and the Valkyrie at kind of roughly the same time. And that just didn't leave them with a lot in the following pushes. If that had gone a little bit differently, if maybe they had been a little bit more patient, they might have been able to finish it.
I think that the best thing they could have done was save the Transcendence, because when you drop that Graviton and you see Raucus use his, you hold on to your Trance, because if Effect is so charged on Zarya and he has the healing to walk in with the Transcendence on his own team, he'll be able to build another Graviton quickly.
Yeah, very true.
So you really just need to protect him, because the main obstacle was those Orisa barriers, but if he has the healing over time to help him really get in the thick of things and deal that damage at 100 charge, I think you'd find they would have found themselves in a better situation.
Well, it's the what ifs, right? What if things had gone slightly differently? It's what Dallas has to think about a little bit as they go into their defensive round here. They still push the payload most of the way there, so there's a lot of room to stop Houston Outlaws before they get there, but Eichenwald is one of those hybrid maps that does get finished a little bit more often than some of the other ones, so you do have to be a little bit worried if you're on the Dallas side.
Yeah, you do. Coco will be playing the Orisa again. So long-range poke composition, control of the choke is paramount. Houston does have some tools to get over some of these buildings and try and rush the point, which is they should be trying to break the static defense.
Oh, Taimu falls already. Chips has to use that res very early, and Jake is not going to give him any time to wait. Chips dying again, and already this is not going well for Dallas. Houston storming onto the point in style.
Wow, the 2 picks from Jake right off the bat, the clutch ones they needed. And again, we saw this on Oasis. It seems like Dallas is not watching their flanks very well in a lot of these fights, because some of these picks, the DPS is walking really far up in these engagements, and they're getting surprised by a DPS from Houston peeking around a door.
You know, Taimu tried to be cute with that trap combo at the early part of the map, and I think he was just straight up too far forward. It was rough. They're going to try to go for an aggressive defense, which you do see a lot of teams do here. Jake has really been on fire this round. If not in-game, then in technique. Here comes the Riptire.
No targets. Dallas backed off that one really fast. He wants to get over to the support, and he does find Harry Hook.
Yeah, hard to outrun that thing as Zen, man. You gotta have the perfect right click to kill that tire before it gets to you. That tire is like one of the things that Zenyatta's fear the most. Trust me on that one.
Well, now we see a situation where Houston is going to be able to get a very nice push, considering Chips and Harry are still working on those support ultimates, and you have the D.Va self-destruct to try and zone them off the bridge.
Yeah, I mean, man, if I'm Dallas, I'm already getting really worried. Tons of times for Houston here, and they don't even need to finish the map.
Coco also swapping over to the Winston means he's not going to have that Primal Rage, which has a lot of value on the bridge for knocking people off and getting environmental eliminations on this point.
Time Moves Riptire doesn't find a mark as Jake takes it down. Rocket's going to go ahead and use the Transcendence. Perhaps some of his tanks got a little bit low there. Mickey going in deep. Manages to stay alive for the moment. Spree finds an opportunity to go after Taimu in the backlines here. Goes ahead and uses that self-destruct just to kind of split up the team. Coco does fall due to Spree's ultimate. And maybe Houston can keep this going. I don't know. Yeah, it looks like they should have the kills to push the payload soon. Even with effect on that Tracer, yeah, you're just not going to get past the Winston in that situation. Good peel, actually, for Muma.
Yeah, but even so, Dallas overcommitting to that. They were not doing a good job of keeping track of enemy ultimates because they were not going to be able to win that if they tried to all in against Houston under most normal circumstances. Again, Jake gets Chips.
You know, you see Dallas diving really aggressively, and Chips always tries to follow up, and he just keeps on getting killed. I think in terms of this kind of map especially, we're seeing some definite coordination issues with this team right now.
Yeah, absolutely we are.
Chips is a fantastic support. We've talked about him being, one of the best out there, and I definitely think he is on the Ana, on the Zen, but the Mercy seems to be a struggle for him here from what we've seen today.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. A little fragging out from Raucus at the end of the engagement, but 5 minutes for Houston to finish this map. They have made a blistering time through Eichenwald.
Huge ult advantage too, as Jake sends Riptire in, doesn't find any kills with it, but it's still not bad. Does force Dallas back again. That's the second time in a row now that Jake has killed Taimu's Riptire, by the way. He has been very ready for that. And again, Muma just using that Primal Rage to push everybody on Dallas back.
Chips gets the wrench onto Harry, but the rest of the kills keep on coming through for Houston.
Yeah. Things are looking pretty good for the Outlaws right now. They've used all their ultimates, though, so they do need to get this a little bit farther. Oh, from downtown, Jake with the final blow on Taimu. I think he has handily won this Junkrat duel.
But the overlap of the support ults, Chips and Harry Hook popping both ults simultaneously, stacking them on top of each other, and Dallas just has not been playing a smart ult economy game.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to a big change in who plays what on Dallas Fuel. Chips playing the Mercy, Harry Hook playing the Zen. It's not something you ever used to see before, and they're certainly not, they haven't adjusted to it quite yet.
Yeah, and if you're Houston right now, you just want to grind up to 4 or 5 ults. You'll be feeling really good about your situation.
Yeah.
Jake stuck right now. Looks like Graviton was dropped, but the resulting kills not coming through.
That's right. Jake just backing away right now. They've got the rest of Dallas surrounded here at this point. Spree, D-Mac
just walking up on him.
Yeah, why not?
Jake fearless. So they're going to move it all the way through, and that'll be a win for Houston.
It's been really back and forth this series, hasn't it? And I mean, Houston really showing that their strength is certainly shown up on the payload maps, whereas on the other side, Dallas been looking good on the point control stuff.
Well, we are going to go to control now that we are all tied up 2-2. So exciting series here in the preseason today. Both matches so far going the distance.
Yeah, it really has been. We're going to take a quick break, guys, and then the tiebreaker. We will see who takes it, Dallas Fuel or Houston Outlaws. Don't go anywhere. We'll find out right after this.
ジェイクが進んでいた。やべえわ。やば。
Welcome back, guys, to the Overwatch League preseason. Doan Monte Cristo here, and we are all tied up between Dallas Fuel and the Houston Outlaws, 2-2. And I feel like we've seen very different strengths coming out from both teams.
Yeah, and it's been a weird one. With all of the substitutions that have come through and the many iterations that we've seen from these rosters, you really do see the depth a lot of the time. A lot of changing compositions. Linkser not even being in that last map after such a dominating performance for the rest of the season, but Houston's still pulling out that win. So I think that was a really big surprise for me, because you think about Linkser as maybe the ace of this Houston team, but they showed they're able to power on through even without his help.
Yeah, this match, more than any other one we've seen so far, has made me really excited about the Overwatch League regular season, because I feel like this is the first time we're seeing teams really use subbing intelligently to unlock different strategies, and it's worked really well for both sides. Let's take a look at Houston's subs for our final map of this series here. It's going to be Linkser coming in. Clockwork is out for Lijiang Tower, and they've got a couple more. Let's see, the next one is Cool Matt back in yet again. Gonna bring out Spree, and then our last change is going to be, I believe, at the support position. Yes, that's right. I'm right. Of course I'm right, Monte Cristo. Boink coming in. Bonnie going to be on the bench for our final control map. A couple changes over on the Dallas Fuel side as well. It's kind of the same thing we saw in their last control map. Siegel coming in, Coco going out. And then on the support front, we have Custa coming in and Harry Hook taking a break as well.
Yeah, I think that bringing in the Lucio player on Boink at least gives them some adaptability on points that we typically see that. Linkser, you may need a Pharah on some of these Lijiang Tower points, so maybe getting the flexibility of Linkser, who has had some great Tracer play already today. Even if Clockwork might be a little more specialized, doesn't necessarily have the same level of depth on the projectile heroes that Linkser has.
Yeah.
And then the question now is for Dallas Fuel, are they going to be running the weird composition that we saw with Orisa Roadhog again? It worked.
It did.
And
it worked really well.
It seemed like Houston had an answer to it. So the question now is, have they come up with one in the last couple of maps?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you get a little bit of chance to talk it out between maps and things like that. So no doubt they were discussing, just what the heck they can do if they make it to this final tiebreaker map to counter this. And they looked really lost on Oasis. But yeah, after a couple maps, you got to think they have some sort of plan coming into it. But I don't know. I think as far as the Dallas Fuel side of things goes, if it's not broke, don't fix it. It works so well on Oasis. I'd be surprised if we didn't see them try it again here on Lijiang Tower.
I think the problem is, Doa, is if it fails, where do they go compositionally?
I don't know.
Because
Pharah.
Well, I mean, I guess you could play Pharah, but where does Taimu go? Maybe they just run solo tank and try the triple DPS. That's what it looked like when we came in. But
you go for the Nutty Seagull Bastion. That's what you go for. That's right, the Beta Classic. Well, here we go,
back to the May as well.
Yep, that's right.
The old school Seagull heroes.
Oh yeah. My greatest moment in the Overwatch beta was when I killed Seagull in a one-on-one in a map we ran into each other in. And, he dominated me for the rest of the map. But I killed him one time, and that's what's important to me, Monte Cristo. Yeah. I'll cling to that for the rest of my life.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut occasionally. Isn't that how the saying goes?
That's the closest I ever came to being a pro gamer right there.
Being the blind squirrel finding the nut?
No, it was just an epic duel to end all duels. It's tragic for the human race that nobody recorded it. Maybe it's on a stream bot somewhere. Who knows? It was a long time ago. We're going to get things started on Lijiang Tower here. Guys, Night Market will be the first round we go to. Dallas Field, of course, in the white. Houston Outlaws in the sick green and black.
Really liking those skins for the home skins for the Outlaws. Look fantastic.
Yeah. They do look very cool. Very cool color combo. Well, here we go. It looks like Dallas Field is going to try the same thing they were doing before, more or less. Taimu and Mickey on that Roadhog Orisa combo. Let's see what they can do with it.
They should definitely be expecting this, but the barrier damage from Dallas Field with the Roadhog and the Junkrat is huge. So they will be able to burn down Orisa barriers faster than the side of the Houston Outlaws.
Yeah, that's right. That said, that Orisa barrier doesn't have a lot of hit points to begin with anyway, so you do have to keep readjusting. Look at that hook! Can he finish him, though? That's the tricky part. Got to take a breather. Oh, and the heel comes in from Bonk, and he got stuck in the trap, I think, there. Oh, man, that's rough. And already, oh, the Riptire immediately afterwards. That is nothing but style from Jake on that Roadhog, or that Junkrat, rather.
So the problem with losing that duel that you should have won is that you charged Jake entirely to an ultimate. You got farmed really hard by using the take a breather. And then this happens to the rest of your team immediately thereafter. You have to win that duel if you're Taimu.
Dude, things could not have gone worse for Taimu and the rest of Dallas Field. They're charging back now. Taimu, as you can see from the kill feed, got his revenge on Jake, but they need more than that to take the point.
I mean, somebody has to punish Jake for this positioning, too.
Yeah.
He's been wandering off alone on these flanks for a lot of this series, and the members of the Dallas Field haven't been there to shut him down.
I mean, the thing is, they actually are able to kind of muscle their way into the point and flip it anyway. Houston Outlaws just not able to stand on there long enough. There's a reset from Linkser. I'm sure he meant to roll off the edge.
I think he did.
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah, he did. You have to... I don't know if I even would have continued shooting instead of resetting. If you already have that ultimate available with the Winston bubble in there.
You don't need to give them
Orisa
any
shield,
more.
rather. Yeah, you're not going to get very much out of it. And instead, you can get farmed yourself for ultimate on the other side.
Yeah. If you've got ult and you keep shooting in that situation, you're just giving support ult to the other team,
well,
basically.
They found Seagull.
Yeah, they do indeed. Custa gets hit with the Deadeye, though. Cool Matt coming from behind here. Custa brought back up by Chips yet again. They do pop Cool Matt out. Is it going to be enough to flip the point, though? Looks like it may. They've nearly got it flipped already, despite most members not being on there. They tried to sneak it away from Dallas Field, but Dallas falling back and playing the point now. Transcendence time. Raucus goes in, wanted to keep himself alive, but they need to capitalize. Yeah, there's just not a lot of damage.
There was no damage there to follow in with the Transcendence.
That was just one of those times where you feel like you've got more people behind you, and you're like, all right, we're going in, and then you kind of end up there with Mercy and Orisa, and you're like, well, this isn't going to work.
The Orisa's walking up on the other Orisa who's getting healed by a Mercy. Yeah, not very effective.
Sorry, guys.
Attack there from Houston. Falls apart at the end, and now Taimu, he's trying to sneak around right now. They have swapped to Pharah. So Jake will be up in the sky. Did not work for them the last time they tried this, however. Linkser also wants to make a move onto the Genji.
Taimu really wants that hook onto Pharah. She's got to come down sometime. Mickey's supercharger lasts not very long, as seems to be the usual. Taimu now has that whole hog, needs to take a breather here. Where's the hook? Can't quite get it. Now he's in a lot of trouble. Yeah, you need to land that hook if you're on the outside like that. Otherwise, you're going to get rocked.
I mean, they're already up to 99% though, so not the end of the world. Houston had to win that fight to stay in this map, and they used the supercharger at the end just to make sure things went their way. Yeah. But another trance is coming through from Custa, and this is such a meat wall that they can throw at the point. Effect will make the change to McCree just to deal with Jake.
Okay. I don't mind that. That helps out a little bit as far as what Taimu needs to accomplish with his Roadhog hooks, too. Oh, Effect goes down, though. Trying to come through the choke, and those rockets just doing work. Taimu on his own. Now he's getting hunted by Cool Mats as well. There's a kill. And that Transcendence so late for Custa. Jake doesn't care, man. He's throwing in the barrage. He had a good sense of timing for when it was going to end. Gets 3, and that's another strong hold for Houston.
There have been a lot of mistakes in this series so far. It's been exciting Overwatch, but not a lot of the polish that we are used to seeing from players of this caliber.
This map especially has looked pretty sloppy for both teams in terms of support ultimates especially.
I think the idea was to get the trance in there so that Chips would have opportunity to res Taimu, but you have the time to reset, so there's no need to commit.
Yeah, I suppose. See that there. Linkster goes down without getting a lot from the Dragon Blade. Muma moving in now, gets pushed back by the whole hog from Taimu though. And it looks like they're on the point. Yeah, Mickey tried to go in and take it on Winston by himself. Last-ditch effort. They're going in now again. Mickey gets res by Chips. This could work out. Self-destruct coming in though. Seagull gets caught by it on that Genji. Now the Transcendence for Raucus coming in again. And unless Taimu can get some pretty amazing hooks, they might be in a little bit of trouble here.
Hard to get that hook when you're getting pushed back. At least they got the D-Mech onto Coolmat. There's no damage really here to actually take out Taimu. Jake is forced to look the other direction.
Taimu needs to get some health back. He had to take a breather up, but he couldn't use it. That's going to be it. Houston Outlaws going to take the first point here on Lijiang Tower. It was close, though.
It was close, and Houston had that desperation push at 99 to bring it all the way back, but I think you really just have to question Dallas's decision-making. They had opportunities and ample time to just go ahead and reset and make a more comfortable push onto the point. And they overcommitted in a time where it wasn't exactly necessary.
I feel like you can sense some frustration on the Dallas Fuel side just in terms of how their engagement started to fall apart a little bit. You know, that mismanagement of ultimates. I see like desperation there that they didn't need to necessarily show. See if they calm down a little bit more here as they go on to Gardens. Oh, Linkster on the Widow too. Interesting. You know, the thing is, with this player combination too that Dallas Fuel is using, it does make it tough for them to run the Widow. So counter-sniping Linkster is not going to be as easy as it would be normally because they're kind of relying on Taimu to be that second tank.
No, but who is Linkster going to kill on this? I guess like you can get Custa or Chips, but Taimu's not exactly vulnerable, and effect is going to be difficult to handle also. And everybody can just sort of waltz onto the point if you're Dallas. And then hide behind either the body of Roadhog or Orisa shields.
Yeah, and there's a change from Linkster over onto the Genji. Yeah. Yeah, support picks are nice, but most of the time you're going to be firing into people that have a lot of health and are going to get healed up.
Well, it's just so hard because you're relying on the enemy supports to make a mistake.
Yeah.
When there's this much of a meat shield in the front line, or like the Tracer to peek on you, so. It's difficult with these comps that just sort of want to stay on the point the entire time and force you to come to them to play the Widowmaker.
Well, Beck trying to keep pressure on the pharmacy is going to go ahead and take out Linkster here. Jake able to finish off Seagull, so kills on both sides. Beck playing the outside of the fight right now, and he's behind the Orisa shield. Taimu just walking right through it, trying to add on that damage with the Roadhog. Here comes the Riptire though. Can he get to the Mercy? Can't quite get high enough. Needs to get back to the point though. There he finds Jake, so at least he got one part of the air combo.
It's okay. It was the end of the Valkyrie as it was. Dallas Fuel still looking comfortable in this fight. As long as Effect doesn't die, but he gets hunted by Raucus.
Yeah, Raucus going to pop that Transcendence to keep the remainder of his team up for the moment, but they need to get on the payload, man. They need to turn this into some forward progress here.
Supercharger up, but eliminated.
I swear Mickey's superchargers live shorter lives than any other supercharger I've seen, man.
That's a credit to Houston, though, for focusing them down quickly.
Yeah, they have not been lasting. Houston coming in, managing to finish off the rest of Dallas. They are going to be able to flip it. 80% taken by Dallas Fuel to start things off with, so not a terrible start.
And here we go, the triple DPS. Now they're going to start reacting to Jake's Pharah. See if they can get some damage on him while he is up in the sky.
Well, they're actually going to run Taimu on the Winston right now. Yeah.
Change it up at the last second. Now, Taimu does occasionally play Winston for this team, it has to be said.
Yeah, we've seen it before, but it's pretty rare. Jake getting flown right into there. Yeah, tough with the barrage when you've got the tanks jumping into your face there. A little bit of rocket reflection damage. Boink getting a couple reses. Coolmat throws into self-destruct. Can he find anybody with it? No, not quite. But they do force him into the firing line of Raucus, fighting for his life with that Tracer duel, but he's got his Mercy supporting him. And so Outlaw's holding for now.
Well, and the times where we've seen Taimu play the Winston, it hasn't been him being the primary tank either. So they typically play Reinhardt Winston, and he's in diving. So it's a bit of a switch up in role for him.
Well, that's what the league is all about, man. It's all about people breaking out of their comfort zones, playing things they may not have played a lot of before. Substitutions. I like it.
This particular lineup of players is certainly something new for the Dallas Fuel. And Taimu used his jump to get in. It was on cooldown as he gets pulled over the edge by Muma.
Yeah, and that's just not something I think you'd see a more experienced Winston do too often. That's rough. You use that cooldown and you're going to get halted every single time. Mickey does get the kill on the Muma's supercharger though. Seagull taking down Jake. Mickey demeched, but an opportunity for Dallas here if they can continue with it. They're having to play a little bit defensively. Gets behind Taimu though. That's rough. And he's got the Dragon Blade. He's gonna pull it out. There's a transcendence to worry about it, but he finds Mickey away from it now. Goes in on the cusp. Take it down. That feels good if you're Zen. And it looks like Dallas is gonna be able to flip that point right back again. It's gonna be another 99-99, I think, here at the end.
Yeah, Dallas used everything though. They'll be able to get the self-destruct back by the time this comes through. Jake also will have a barrage. Can he get a couple of kills to start off this fight? Trying to get some poke damage. They've got to move quickly though. 5% remaining.
Yep. Seagull on that Genji. They're really counting on him now. Gonna chase away. Linkser as much as he can. Ooh, Linkser got the health back though. But he's still so low. Seagull winning the duel. Needs to get back to the point though, but his team maybe doesn't need to get back there. They're doing just fine without him. They needed him to take that duel and win it, and they were able to do that.
As following the Orb of Discord onto the enemy Genji, and even on the point, the self-destruct for Mickey came up really big.
Dallas Fuel taking round number 2.
That was a nail biter though.
Yeah.
With Taimu having to flex into a main tank position.
Yep. It wasn't pretty, but they got the job done. It worked. So we are going to go to Control Center. One final control map round will decide who wins this. I couldn't think of a better way to start this rivalry, man. These teams are actually looking pretty even right now.
Absolutely. It's exciting. I think a lot of people did underestimate the Houston Outlaws, but I think when we take a look back at the pieces from FaZe, some of the players that performed exceptionally well at the Overwatch World Cup, the scrappiness of an FNRG FE team that as amateurs was competing without getting paid in contenders and still managing to find that time to practice. Now that these guys are dedicated to the game full time, it looks like it's made a big difference.
Yeah, I would say so. Effect swapping over to the Zarya, so they're going to go triple tank here at the beginning.
I really like this on this point. I mean, Zarya is fantastic in these the numerous choke points that we see on Control Center, and that is a huge amount of damage.
Man, those right clicks paired with the right clicks from Orisa, the right click combo, and man, it is a huge amount of damage.
Yeah, you've got a lot of good combos to run to. You have the Graviton with the whole hog, you have the Graviton with the Riptire. So a couple different ways you could use it. He's already sitting at 70% of the way towards his grab.
Here we go. Jay coming in with another Riptire. He's been good with them all night. Seagull taken out with that. Linkser gets rezzed by Boink, so Houston not giving up this attack quite yet. There's a really fast Graviton. Where's the follow-up, though? They couldn't quite get any kills out of it. Oh, and the thing is Taimu was so close to his whole hog, but he didn't quite get it in time. I got a feeling that's the combo they were looking for, but it didn't work out. They're going to pop the Transcendence. They're not done quite yet with this. Seagull biding his time, waiting out the Transcendence. He's going to chase down Raucus. In that case, Zenyatta's got his arms up because he's just like, it's chasing me.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dylan. That looked like a small miscommunication.
Yeah.
Custa wanted to come back in and try and salvage that fight with the Transcendence, but not working out for Dallas Fuel. They did get 42% on the point, though, so
that's not bad.
It's not bad at all. In effect, already sitting at halfway towards another Graviton, but he is desync. So is Taimu going to use this whole hog, or is he going to wait for Effect to poke and get towards his own ultimate?
I think unless a really good opportunity presents itself, you're going to wait. Went for that hook onto Jake. Barely missed it here. Maybe Seagull finds the kill, though. Okay, all right, he's going to use it.
やばい。
He's got the
あー、
Elisa
やばいな
corner.
こ
I
れ。
think that was the opportunity he was looking for. People getting low. Cool Matt nearly demeched again already. Jake did go down, or he got res rather. Opposite coming down, in fact. But it all results in Dallas Fuel getting onto the
やれる
point.
やれるだりや。
Probably
あ
making it.
ー
Jake
マジで
Ripper not making it to its target in the end.
Taimu managed to take it out. In fact, once again at 100 charge. I think that's one of the great things about Dallas is they're very good at making sure that they trade off bubbles to ensure that on the wars, close to 100 charge for every fight.
Oh, Cool Matt was very low as he ducked for cover there too. And there it is. They kind of lured him in, trying to heal up the Diva. That's going to be a couple kills, it looks like. Cool Matt gets a res at just the end. There's a pilot Diva. Now Costa pops the transcender, trying to keep his team up again. Effect still very charged into Zarya. That's a ton of damage.
Oh my.
Oh,
This Orisa Zarya combo, it's kind of like a mini graviton surge coming up for Orisa, and you can see the damage that Effect's able to follow that up with.
They look practiced with this combo.
No
and the synergy
kidding.
with Mickey. We may have criticized its Orisa at first, but the halt plays that he's making with Effect, and he's just walking in there, knows those opportunities, and just murdering the Houston Outlaws.
No kidding, Boink falling early. Fuel just playing the spot, trying to prevent anyone from getting to the point, and they may just have done it. Overtime ticking down. Seagull with the kill onto Raucus, and in the end, Dallas Fuel will barely come out on top in the Texas Showdown.
Raucus snuck back onto the point, but he was found out pretty quickly by that rip tire, no defense.
Wow, well that was a fantastic match. That was my favorite match of the preseason yet. It was so close. We saw so much cool stuff from both teams. It got messy, it got wild. That was a great series.
I think you see the potential, though, as both of these teams polish up some of their comms into the regular season, because the skill we saw on an individual level, not really to be questioned in this match. It's just a matter of making sure their ult sequencing and their ult economy, I think, is handled a little bit better.
That's right. Well, we're going to go over to the desk. I can't wait to hear what they've got to say about that match. A lot to talk about.
Thank you so much, guys. A 3-2 victory for the Dallas Fuel as Houston so close, but at the end, the old boys in blue holding strong. Let's start here with map number 3. Once again, I'm your host, Chris Puckett, joined by Hex and UberX. Mr. Uber, no Matt here today. Uber, let's jump into Oasis, bud, because this was a fun control. Before we got the Li Zhang for control, we got a little preview in that game number 3, an epic montage put together by our production team. Let's jump right in. Who was impressing you throughout that control?
I mean, we've really got to look to guys like Linksu switching over towards that McCree on this particular instance. And I enjoyed seeing so much Orisa play on this map, right? We're seeing actually like a kind of a pick comp on roids here. You're kind of working with an Orisa and a Roadhog, right? The Orisa lays the Holt in. Hog gets easy hooks. Also, Junkrat can throw a remote mine at it. You have that solid core, and then you might have a McCree or a Farah free to roam around. Clockwork as well. Obviously on that Tracer on a few occasions. So big moments here from Linksa. The DPS players able to do a lot. You see Taimu switching over towards a Roadhog here and being a bit more of a utility player for his team. Effect has been the one constant here for Dallas. The whole series, this map especially, he was nailing it.
Well, it's absolutely fearless for Effect to see Linkser going off on that McCree and say, I'm still going to stick on this Tracer. It's kind of a soft counter to a Tracer. And Clockwork, I thought, was going to have a big showing on his Tracer, but throughout Oasis, Effect had 40% more hero damage than did Clockwork. So Effect, you have to look at the kill feed because he's coming from different angles. He's all over the place. Maybe the camera's not always on him, but the effect is real.
Wait, say that stat one more time. You compare Effect to Clockwork from this map. What are the numbers?
40% more damage.
40% more damage playing the same hero, similar compositions?
Well, yes, similar, but I mean, Linksa had 35% of his team's damage, so a lot more emphasis was being placed on him than Clockwork on that particular map there as well. However, that's a huge damage differential between two players in the same role. Tracer is the kind of hero who's the least linear in the game. There's the most room for your style to take over, and Effect, his style clearly much more effective on that map.
All right, let's move on now to Eichenwald, game number 4. Let's talk a little bit about the opening here, Mitch, because you said this was a very interesting strategy from both teams, and I believe we're looking at Houston first.
Yeah, well, we can actually show you both of the rollouts of the attacking moves of both these two teams in the first one, because there are a lot of similarities in between them. Most importantly is just walk it the heck in, boys. Coco now with that shield up in front. Look how he shepherds the rest of Dallas to get into a position now where Houston have to make a tough call. they've got to move back on towards the point, but they're still dealing with the harassment from Effect behind them whilst the entirety of Dallas is in position. This is Houston though, so again, they're still walking it in. Houston are a lot more aggressive here. They're using Moom as their spearhead to actually start this off. They're pressuring forward on towards these shields. So you can see that Dallas much prefer to make their plays based off the back of those shields and think about positioning, where you see Houston are very good at identifying key targets and using their removal to facilitate their building of momentum onto those first points.
Hex, what was the difference maker there for Houston? Why were they able to win Eichenwald?
Houston's Eichenwald, I think, really came down to Clockwork's defense at the end, and where he struggled onto Tracer. He had a 5K towards the end. He rotated onto the McCree. Clockwork is a hero that, or a player rather, that I think is really going to benefit from being on land. He just really believes in his aim. Now he's got the support system. So it was the defense at the third point for Houston that Clockwork came alive, was able to finish off a lot of those kills, and it's because that smaller area allows him to play McCree.
I feel like Dallas tried to brute force that last point a lot. Like, you actually saw Effect switch over towards the Zarya, so they're going for a direct approach. They actually didn't have any flanking potential whatsoever. So then you see Clockwork switch to McCree. He says, okay, my backline is actually quite safe. They're trying to do fairly indirect damage with Junkrat and Zarya. So if I stand in the correct position, I can get a lot of free damage, especially against these tanks.
All right, let's take it now to game number 5. Lijiang Tower, the decider. Did you guys out there enjoy that game 5? Still with me? Still awake? All right, let's jump right into it. We got some highlights here. It all started with the Pharah from Jake.
Jake has been able to play every different hero, and this is great too because he just was a pain for Taimu. Right there he farms up Taimu. The Transcendence comes in late trying to save Taimu, and this patience right here. He pops it while the Transcendence is still active, picks off the people on the periphery, and then will focus on the center of that Transcendence. So he was lurking there. He knew the Transcendence is not a threat to him because obviously Zen can't hurt him. Now Hog is out of the mix and just picks up a nice 3-kill there.
We saw a lot of Hog, a lot of Orisa coming in here from the Envy lineup, or excuse me, the Dallas Fuel lineup. Houston Outlaws also running a similar composition. At the end, though, it was the Trip tank. When Effect went to the Zarya, this is how Dallas Fuel shut the door. And we're going to take a look at Effect in his massive Zarya plays. You heard Monty and Doa talking about it. He seemed to be at about 95 charge the entirety of this game, and those right clicks leading up to the beam and the punch, Effect clears the point, and it was Dallas Fuel walking away with the victory. They are going to take the series 3-2, and we're looking forward to seeing them next on Saturday. So 2 matches done. Let's quickly recap this one. Big picture, what were your first impressions of both teams? I want to start with you, Hex.
First impressions is this should be good. This should be a good rivalry. I mean, this is our second set of the day that's already gone to 5. I think both teams match up really well, and I'd have to agree with the casters. This is an exciting time in Overwatch that you're seeing substitutions really matter, really come into play. I think Effect going to Zarya was the MS Paint eraser against Cool Matt. I felt bad watching it.
For me, I think definitely for Dallas, they need Effect. He is the heart and soul of this team, and he is the instigator of most of their biggest moments. There's incredible players around him, but he's pretty much unsubstitutable, in my opinion. If you look over towards the Houston side, you can see just how quickly Linksa has had a huge effect on this team. Seeing Clockwork go back to the old school McCree that he used to play way, way back in time is also very good. It's the birth of what's going to be a fantastic cross-divisional rivalry.
Can we talk about the most impressive DPS player? Both teams stacked up in the DPS department. Jake, Linkser, Clockwork. We're going to see Mendo later on this Houston lineup versus guys like Taimu, Effect, Seagull. Who would you rather have, Hex? Would you rather be a Houston Outlaws manager right now or Dallas Fuel?
I mean, Effect alone makes me want to pick Dallas, but I think overall, the top to bottom, I do like the Houston. I like the versatility that they have, and I think Clockwork is just warming up and getting used to his team.
What about you, Mitch?
I have to say Effect. I think Linkser and Jake both went on the boil and came off the boil. I thought that Clockwork was a consistent force, but Effect is really taking it to another level here. He's someone to look out for, no doubt.
That match went the distance. Almost every control point was 99-99, and we were able to catch the Fuel in the moment that they won it all. Let's take a look.
Bungo's close. Bungo's close.
Watch out.
Do we have a Seagull here?
Yeah, mirror. Is Genji coming behind somewhere? No.
I got a Bungo here. I got a Bungo here.
Front. Bungo fast. Bungo fast.
Bungo fast. Bungo now. Bungo now.
Breaking bubble.
Genji dead. Mercy. Orisa.
Towering.
Point. Alone. Point. Zed.
No!
And you you can see Taimu on the far left getting so fired up. Easy, baby, easy. That was not easy. He's lying to himself and all of you guys at home. Let's take a look at our match schedule so far for the day. It went all the way to a Game 5 for the Gladiators going up against the Spitfire. A bit of a surprise result for a lot of people at home who were tuning in. And then, of course, we saw Dallas Fuel and the Houston Outlaws go the distance once again. So 2 matches, 10 games, and we're only supposed to be playing 4 for each. When we come back, we have the final match of the day. You don't want to miss it. It's New York taking on Boston. Don't miss the Excel versus the Uprising when we return. Party continues here in Los Angeles as we are gearing up for the 6th match of the Overwatch League preseason. Welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, Chris Puckett, and I am joined at the desk. We got a fresh face to welcome. Monty Cristo is joining Hex and Zoe. And Monty, you just cast that last epic series between Dallas and Houston. Real quick, we got to get your thoughts.
I'm not really convinced by a lot of the roster movements that we saw. It was a little bit weird to play Mickey on the Orisa. Talking to Mr. X, he's like, why didn't they play S2? He's one of the best Orisa players. But, you know, they did some experimentation, both teams showing the depth of their rosters, and it'll be interesting to see how they use it moving forward.
Now, throughout the preseason, we're going to see all of the players that are eligible right now. If you're 18, you're basically getting in, and you'll be playing in front of everyone. Very impressive stuff from the Gladiators, from the Spitfire, from Dallas to Houston, but we still have 2 more teams to go. Let's take a look at our day's schedule. We started with the first 2 matches. Now it's past 6 p.m., so let's get into New York Excel going up against the Boston Uprising. And of course, before we bring the players out on the stage, we got a hype montage for you. Let's take a look at the guys behind the scenes. I lied. That's coming in a moment. I'm told. Whoa. We're going to buy the players a minute. We're going to buy some time. So
you're just building the hype for it right now.
It's coming. Don't worry. The hype is coming.
This is our hype creation pause.
I like it. Hype creation pause. We're going to build up. All right, let's talk a little bit big picture here. Coming into today, what are the community's thoughts around these 2 teams? For New York, I know there was a lot of question marks around Boston. A lot of people saying, oh, this team is at the bottom of the rankings. More recently, though, where do you think the thoughts are on each of these teams? I want to start with you, Hex.
I think you're absolutely right that the community would say that the Boston's on the bottom, but they're actually they're embracing that. They've really embraced it as a team and said,
I guess ignorant plebs.
Yes, if everyone already thinks we're the worst, then there's nowhere to go but up, right? So there's like, we're going to be the underdogs. It's absolutely taken the pressure off of them, and I think they're going to play kind of fast and loose with it.
So they're living up to their uprising.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. Wow. Just, wow.
Get out.
I'm just feeling it right now.
He had a good run, but, you know. No, but, you know, as you said, the players are really embracing it. Gamzu Mistakes, I think, even said so in an interview. Like, they're liking this. For once, there is no pressure on them. The eyes are not on them. No one has expectations but they themselves, so that's a good way to start a series.
I mean, when you have really nothing on the line, I feel like that's when you can play the most free. And also, this is the preseason. It's an exhibition. Let's talk about what we're hoping to see from these squads. If Boston is going to be a serious threat, who are you looking towards on this team, Monty, to really shine for them today?
Oh, well, I think you have to look at Gamsu, who has been an outstanding tank player in Korea, even though he was on a weaker roster in Combox. But there's also Kalios, who's a well-known Zarya ace. So there are some components that they've picked up that could be scary. And coming in, they said that their main attraction to pro players was if they were coachable or not. And so if they've done a good job of setting this up, they're looking to develop players who want to be developed. And there are just so many unknown quantities about Boston that it's very hard to get an early read.
Okay. And Hex, for New York Excel, if you want to see them finding success today, who are you looking at?
Well, I think you can always look at the DPS for this team. I think Libero is going to have to play support for whatever reason today, but then you've got players like SBB, Sebobe is going to be playing on Tracer, and we've seen his godlike performance. Unfortunately, Flower is not able to play for this team, but he is a DPS god who will be available for them sometime in the future. And you've got a player like Pine. Pine is going to crush it as well. I've heard about Pine for 18 months now. Korean players coming up to me and saying Pine is going to be one of the hit scans to look out for.
All right, well, before we get to the match, we're going to take a quick moment and reflect. Now, last night, unfortunately, all the matches were so good, we went overtime. But I've challenged my analyst every night. I need you to pick out some star players from the day. Hex, we're going to start with you from day number 1. And, of course, at the end of today's show, we're going to cover all of day 2's players. Who was the standout performer for you?
I'm going to kick it a little bit old school because I think everyone forgot about Andre. It's IDDQD who has actually showed up huge for San Francisco. Everybody thought it's a foregone conclusion that they're just biding their time until Sinatra can come back into the mix. And then even Dante showed up on Tracer. Then IDDQD comes in. He plays so well for this team. And he is a Tracer that's been on, or a player who's played Tracer for a very long time. People maybe think of him more as a McCree, but he went really aggressive for the San Francisco Shock on this map right here. Ended up with like a 17-player streak, and let's not forget that this is one of the players who's been playing this game for the longest of times.
I really liked IDDQD on the Tracer. Monty, if you're going to see him throughout the year and throughout the season for the Overwatch League, what other heroes would you expect for him to be running?
Well, apparently Bastion also had a good run on Junkertown.
A little bit of Bastion, maybe? No McCree these days? No.
Oh, I think we'll see the McCree.
All right, maybe. All right, so I know you went with a different player. You're going with a member of the Valiant. Who impressed you most on day 1?
Yeah, I think for me it's got to be Envy. He's one of the players which had a lot of question marks on his back. People weren't really, convinced with his performance during Contenders, where he struggled a little bit. There were a lot of moments where his ults were less than ideal, to put it nicely. However, looking at him today, no, yesterday, time goes by, yesterday already, and how he performed with this very team, I think I sense a lot and saw a lot of improvement right there. And a lot of that comes down to also the improvement of communication. His team actually has been teaching their non-Koreans Korean and their Koreans English so that they can actually talk with each other in a different way. And I really feel like him in this team, like he's looking like a completely different player.
He really stepped up yesterday, Monty, and you were so critical during Contenders. You were with us out in Denver, you were watching, and I remember going backstage, and you were just pulling your hair out saying, what are these gravitons?
Yeah, he really was underwhelming, but the improvement he's made in such a short time, the coaches seem very confident that he was going to be transformed by the time he hit the preseason stage, and he really delivered. I mean, he was doing the most damage on his team as Diva and Road Dogg at times.
Now, the last player we're going to highlight, he was from a team that came in with almost no practice. They didn't get a chance to scrim against any of the other Overwatch League teams. 2 of their players landed the night before, but Roshan from Shanghai really pulled through. Doan, you were talking about the strengths of him and what we could see from him in the future, Monty.
You look at those matches versus Seoul that Shanghai had, and you think, okay, well, Dia was stealing the show, but Roshan was very quietly showing some excellent game sense. And when it came to counter-diving the enemy, Winston, for example, when Kuki and Miro were coming in to protect Dia, or even trying to shut down Fleta on a lot of these attempts with the Dragon Blade and making sure that he was under control, especially this play I think was particularly impressive because he just completely denies this Dragon Blade from the team, and popping that Primal Rage at the right time to nullify the attack was, it just, he was playing both offensively and defensively particularly well.
I really liked seeing Roshan, and he dealt with the Genji so well. We're going to see more of him. We're going to see more of the Shanghai Dragons, of course. That's a team we could see tomorrow, as it's all the teams that fell on day 1 and 2 playing tomorrow. The winning teams we're going to see on Saturday. So set your alarms. We're going to be up bright and early on Saturday. Amazing matches will be going down. But for now, it is time to get into the final match here of day 2 of the preseason. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the Boston Uprising as they face off against the New York Excel. Major props to the editor for cutting off the tip of the dab, but now it's time to introduce the NYXL. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for our team from New York.
Of course, this team is an amalgamation of several early created Korean teams, Luxury Watch Blue, Luxury Watch Red. A lot of very good players. I mentioned earlier, Pine has been in the works for a while, gonna have to step up that role while Flower waits to arrive.
Well, not only that, but they're not going to have use of their flex support, Joe Knock, for this preseason. He will be 18 by the time the regular season rolls around, and that means Libero, one of the most flexible players in the game, is going to have to play that support position.
Yeah, and those players had to deal with a lot of setbacks coming into this. Janos had 2 collapsed lungs. Sabiobi has disc issues in his back and also has been ill for the past week. So it's great to see them taking the stage in spite of it all.
Now, Monty, you mentioned that Libero might be taking on that flex support, but what about Pine? He used to be a support player, didn't he?
Well, you know, he has played some support in the past, but when we think about him coming in, it was his amazing hit scan play that was always very hyped up. He's a pro, an old school pro in other FPS games, and he came in with a bang in terms of starting Overwatch.
Looking forward to seeing what Pine is bringing to the table today, but up first, we have to introduce the Boston Uprising. Now, this Boston team, when I looked at the lineup, I felt like Mr. Huck, the president over there in Boston, was putting together a Moneyball roster. He was saying he's looking for hungry players, guys that are looking for something to prove, and people that are just going to gel together. Monty, when you look at this team, though, what do you see?
The thing about Moneyball is you have to have stats in order to make a team. Mr. Puckhead. So he doesn't even necessarily have that statistical information. So this is all about seeing potential in players rather than forming together pieces that are more known quantities.
And the player we just saw, SkyRaker, is actually one which left a big impression on all the teams which have been scrimming against Boston. So as much as they want to stay under the radar and be the underdogs, he already actually induced some fear in his opponents.
The question is, how well are they going to be able to communicate? It's a meshing together of all these diamonds in the rough that they're trying to put together. And of course, communication is key in Overwatch, and how well are they going to be able to manage their calls?
All right, real quick, before we get into the games, we have to do this as always. Give me one player to key in on, starting with you, Hex. Who are you looking at in this matchup, real quick?
Dreamcasper. He came up on the ladder in the same vein as Sinatra. There are always whispers in the first set of beta that these are the kids who are going to actually make it in the league.
All right, what about you, Monty?
I think you have to go with Libero here. He's long been one of my favorite players, and I'm particularly intrigued to see how he does on the support position, because that could make or break New York.
And finally, for you, Zoe?
That's going to be SkyRaker. I want to see him go off as every other team has been predicting.
All right, the coaches have been hyping up SkyRaker. Everyone who scrimmed against him said, look out for this youngster. We'll find out how does he perform. It's time for the final match of the day. Let's send it over to our casters. We got Uber with Mr. X.
That's right, Mr. X. I tell you what, we're on the up and up here. We've got NYXL and the Uprising, both obviously metaphors for raising in some